She'll be up in about 30 seconds.
Turn your phone on.
All right.
I said turn your phone on. I said off.
Are you? Are we up?
I'm just trying to make, just try to make sure I get them and get them posted before the if it makes you feel good. I still haven't gotten it. She sent me what she claims was with.
Wait, tell me when it goes live on YouTube. On YouTube.
And I never got them, and I've asked her what and still not heard. And in 2 years, I've never successfully got that some of the
It says we're streaming, but it says we're streaming, but I don't.
Just go ahead and say no worries there. I try to make this just as kind of a reminder that they were getting
Is it there?
time where we should,
Don't be lying. Can you check your phone for me? You got it? Okay, we're good. Thanks.
Guys ready? Yep. Call this commissioners meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
I'll be over here.
All right. Thank you for attending tonight's meeting. We'll do roll call. Commissioner Hess. Commissioner Peebles.
Present.
And Commissioner Dunn present. All right. Approval of minutes from June 15, 2026. Before we approve those minutes, Penny Carpenter has an amendment or statement to read before we approve those.
Hi, Penny Carpenter. I need to correct a statement I made during the June 15th Commissioners meeting. Mr. Ashton's company, NG, has had their memorandums to lease recorded in 21 and 2022 as Eagle Holding or NG Holding or NG Solar. There are leases out there that have not been recorded in Vermilion County Recorder's Office. Therefore, we do not know who holds those leases and or who has signed up. But NG's does have several leases, 2,900 acres of stuff recorded in the Recorder's Office. So I'd like to correct that.
Thank you, Penny.
Yep.
All right, with that correction being made, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from June 15, 2026?
Make a
I
motion.
have a motion by Mrs. Hess. Do I have a second? I'll second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any abstain?
No, it wasn't here.
All right, one abstain. All right, motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to approve claims from June 18, June 26, and July 3rd of 2026.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Peebles. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Hess. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. All right, public comment. If anybody would like to speak to the Board of Commissioners tonight, please come up to the podium and state your name if you wish, and you'll have 3 minutes to address the board. Oh, shoot. Give me 1 second, Judge. I skipped over payroll claims. They might be mad at me if I don't get these approved. I'll entertain a motion to approve payroll claims from June 18th and July 3rd.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Hess. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Peebles. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Judge, you're welcome back up to the podium. County employees would be real mad if we didn't get that paycheck.
Vermilion County Circuit Court Judge. I just wanted to bring you up to date on a couple things. I didn't realize there was going to be this many until I got here this evening. So as you say, 3 minutes, I'll be quick. One, at a previous meeting, I talked about the court technology updates, just to bring everybody up to date on that. All the funds have come through. July 29th, 30th, and 31st, they will be in the courthouse, in the courtroom, and doing those updates. So hopefully that will be done quickly and right, and we'll get that behind us. Also, I was going to let you know that up to this period of time so far, the court has received over $60,000 from the Supreme Court to do the technology updates. That we had the 40, plus they've helped out with some situations with the interpreters that I didn't have enough money to pay. I've since gone back to council and got additional appropriated, but then they called me the other day and they have an additional $17,300 that I'm trying to get right now. I've sent the letters in. I'm getting a quote from our IT department to back that up. The other thing that I kind of wanted to do this evening, and I'll keep it very, very short. I've been in office for 18 months. I know one of the major issues when I came into office was the criminal backlog, some of which had been created by COVID, some of which had been created by kicking cases down the road. I just wanted to give you an update. I'm happy to say that as far as the criminal backlog that we have, that criminal backlog is in essence gone. Most of the cases we're setting now, matter of fact, the August trial calendar are mostly cases from the beginning of the year or the first 3 months of the year. So we have gotten through that. Now, I will say this, there are cases out there that people are in the wind, they're in jail, warrants have been out for 10 years and they haven't been picked up. But for the active cases that I came into when I came into office, those cases, the criminal backlog from 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24 is non-existent anymore. We're dealing strictly with 25 and 26 cases, mostly 26 cases. So I just wanted to give you an update, 18 months in review, and I'll continue to keep the council or the court updated as well as the council on where we're going into the future. So hopefully everything will proceed smoothly. So thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. All right, next.
James Brown from Eugene, and this is about the non-existent data centers. If anybody here, and I think there's a lot of people have, if they have been to any of the RISE meetings, they keep hearing this phrase, due diligence, about 50 times a night. I looked that up today. It's a noun. It says the care that a reasonable person exercises to avoid harm to other persons or their property. Now, like I say, we keep hearing about due diligence from the RISE board. Who's going to do diligence for us, the people that live around here? After, if they come up with something, are you people going to do due diligence for us? Or is that just the end of it?
Well, Jim, it's my understanding from the area plan that any data center in the county, whether it be at the RISE or outside of the RISE, it would have to go through a PUD process, and that would go before the board or the APC commission and ultimately the board of commissioners. So to answer your question, I would say those 7 board members in the APC would do that due diligence, and then your board of commissioners sitting here tonight would do their due diligence to make sure any offer was prudent to the community here in Vermillion County.
Okay, one other thing, at the last RISE board meeting, Mr. Peoples, he was in attendance, and I'd just like to clarify, if he'd clarify something for me. At one point in time, he said that he stands totally with the RISE board.
They are duly appointed by Indiana state statute to perform the duties that they are doing at that facility.
I believe you said I
stand behind them, I stand in front of them, I stand beside them. I will stand wherever they need me to stand.
Now, does that mean that if they come up with a proposal that they recommend for a data center or a widget factory or whatever, that you're going to rubber stamp that?
I am going to listen to them, and I'm going to see what opportunities it brings for the people of this county. I'm not a yes, I'm not a no on a data center. I want to know what the opportunities it could provide for the RISE facility out there and the county, Vermillion County as a whole.
And the residents.
Yes, that's included in Vermillion County, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Commissioners, thanks for letting me speak tonight. My name is Vaughn Brock, lifelong resident of Vermillion County. This young man just kind of stole my thunder there, but so I too was at the RISE meeting last week, and I learned a lot more, and I'm learning more as we go along here. And I would encourage all of you to get more actively involved, because there's a lot I didn't realize about the long-going process of trying to bring something into our county, and the golden opportunity that we have in that piece of property. I'm like this young man, Bill, and concerned about the way you addressed the crowd. And it wasn't abrasive or anything. You made a good point. You were firm in your thoughts, and I appreciate that. But later tonight, we're going to have an amendment about the solar issues, and I'll let that ride out. But RJ brought up a point that as these things develop, these programs, these projects develop, things change, thoughts change, the technology changes. So my point is, along with a lot of people here, is we understand that you put the RISE board in place to do their job. We're not trying to tell them how to do their job. What we want to do is make sure that all of us collectively have the same goals in mind, the betterment of our county, of our citizens, of our children. So I'm a big believer in the amendment. One more set of eyes. If you believed in what they said to start with, then vote that way. Put it on record. I stand by it. I stand in front, beside, behind, and make your voice be heard that way. That's the only thing that I would say. And again, I will say this one more time. I appreciate the idea that you do let us speak and voice our opinion. It's so important. That's really all I have, and thanks a lot.
Thank you, Vaughn. Anybody else tonight?
Sure, Indiana, State Indiana. Have a few quick questions for y'all. Over the 4th of July weekend, if you guys had a cookout, if you had cherry cheesecake, if you had hamburgers, hot dogs, soft fireworks, would you all stand up? Any of you that had a cookout with hot dogs, chicken, hamburgers, any of it? How many of you brush your teeth? Stay standing, please. Stay standing. How many of you brush your teeth? No, not those that are standing. Those that are sitting. Those that are sitting. How many of you brush your teeth? How many of you wash your hair and shampoo and shower? How many of you? I can't see all back there. How many of you use makeup or maybe prescription drugs, or has a family member that's got cancer, or a friend? The reason I'm asking these questions is, for you standing up, or paper plates, or plastic utensils, or anything like that, if you've ever used those, would you please stand? None of you that are sitting down have never used any of those things?
Some of them can.
Oh, if you can't stand. Okay, my purpose is, the other day, yes, I'm making a point, and my point is, the other day, you may sit down, thank you so much. We were told thank you guys. We were told the other day that we grow corn for ethanol, and that is a very true fact. However, corn is used for so many more things. We feed everything that I spoke of is used. Corn is used in. Not only do we feed our animals, our pigs, our cows, there's just so many more things. I'm just wanting to say, that there's so much more to farming than just ethanol. Ethanol is an important part, but there's so much more to the value of the corn that is grown. It's not just used as a byproduct for gas. There's, let's see, sorry, I got nervous. The things I've mentioned: personal care, toothpaste, cosmetics, shampoos, processed foods, of course, we know about household items, but the fireworks, the cornstarch actually helps to slow the burn, so the people that are setting them off don't get hurt. So that just small things like that. Soybeans, they use soybeans for concrete protective shield. They use them in tires. They use them in tennis shoes, DeWalt bar chain. Austin spoke about the other day about if there was a fire at different places that they would have to learn to do different safety procedures. Soybeans actually have, they are being used as a safety foam instead of having all the pesticides and stuff that are in them, that it actually protects the firefighters. The reason I say this, that I have had the blessing of being able to work with either 3 or 4 different commission boards. And I have been so thankful that you all have listened to the people. And over the years, somebody made a comment about the lady that's legally insane down the road. Well, I'm not legally insane. I have fought depression. I have fought anxiety because of the things that have been brought to our door. I have an autoimmune disease that I fight every day now because of the stress. But it wasn't just me talking. There were other people, whether it was a closed confinement, that would have been 250,000 hogs at our back door every day with the blood, the urine, the feces. Our commission board listened because they were caring about the people that lived down that road. That would have affected Newport and Dana. Wind turbines, I know the people, some of them were upset because we fought so hard, but it was the southern part that were telling us up here that we need to put the wind turbines in. The company showed that we had 2 on our property, and they said, well, later we found out it was just an example map. We didn't know that. Our neighbors were saying, hey, but again, it wasn't just me. People spoke out. People were listening. The commissioners were listening. You guys were the ones that helped decide. Data center, I have no idea what you guys are going to do. I'm praying for wisdom. Solar farms, I don't know what you're going to do. I'm praying for wisdom. But I just want to say thank you for listening. Thank you for the ones in the past. We take for granted what we have here. And like the gentleman said, we don't have to have the opportunity to speak. And you guys have allowed that, and you've allowed to listen. And I hate that I get upset. But the lady down the road cares about the people that live on my road. I care about the people. I've seen some of them grow up. I've seen the 2nd generation of kids. I care about Vermillion County. Thank you.
Thank you, Shirley. All right, any other public comment for the night?
Okay, I was also at the RISE board meeting, and I just want to know from each one of you if you knew about the property that the RISE paid over $2 million for, if you knew what they were doing. Because I wish, did you know about it?
I was told it was done.
No. I knew after the fact, and that's what I'd put online, is that after the fact.
So, with you guys being over the RISE board, I feel like it's your due diligence to know what is happening out there. And I was shut down when I asked questions. I wanted to know what the land swap was for, why they had to pay $2 million, and they basically dismissed me. They said they wanted to bring that land back into the RISE. I wanted to know why they wanted to bring the land back into the RISE, and they wouldn't answer me. And basically I was dismissed. So I want to know, with this solar, if you guys want to protect people's property, if you are for people's rights, the things happening at the RISE affects these people's property, mine included. The noise, the I can't even think at the moment. There is going to be, water, the electricity. It's going to affect everybody out here. And I feel like money is talking because they shut us down like the residents don't care, don't matter. You act like the residents do not matter. All that matters is whatever that RISE board wants. I will not call them out by name. Everybody knows who's on the RISE board. But money is talking, and it's very evident. And I want to know what you guys are going to do to protect your citizens. I want to know. I want to hear how do you going to protect them?
Protect you against what?
The
Somebody having a
non-existent
conversation?
data center that's coming out here. So we're told that nothing's been done. But after the meeting, I said I had heard from somebody that an Amazon data center is coming. I was told by one of the RISE board members, it's not Amazon. So either we haven't signed anything or we're being lied to. And it's not transparent. Everything going on out there is not transparent. And I appreciate you, RJ, because you have held meetings. You have let us all speak our mind. And I appreciate you for that. And that's all I'm going to say because I know I'm not going to get an answer.
Stephanie, thank you for the comments. I'll say if you didn't get your answers that you wanted, put them in writing to the Board of Commissioners. And I mean, they do answer to the Board of Commissioners. And if we feel that those questions need answered, we'll email them to them directly and get your answers for you. Secondly, on the other data center thing, I'd say to protect the residents. As we said earlier, you know, the area plan director and the APC had sent out a statement that said, hey, it's got to go through a PUD process. So I think that would be the protections that would be for the residents of this county is the APC and then the Board of Commissioners. That way they get to review the offer or the proposal, and the commissioners get to ultimately review that as well. So I think that's from my understanding, and Penny's here, she's going to be up here at some point, she could reiterate that, but.
Thank you.
Yep.
I appreciate you.
Yep, no problem. Anybody else?
RJ, if I could rebut, I know I've already had my time.
I'll go ahead. Well, hold on, Board, you all right with Vaughn coming back up? Go ahead.
Are you sure?
Go ahead.
I want to make sure they're good.
The big concern I have about what you're saying is, in the State House today, there's a bill that's in commission that didn't get brought up to the Senate that's going to bypass all this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And it's going to take all of us out of the picture.
Yep.
And it may be too far down the road. We were going to talk about big money and all this. My point is this. We can't stop that. I mean, we can all write our, senators and congressmen, but if we can't stop that, the only thing we can do is try to put state safeguards in place that can ease the pain. Again, we all want to develop. We all want to grow. We all want our kids to have better opportunities. But we can't sit on our heels and just let this go through, whether it does come through the board, like you're saying, or my fear is we're not going to get that opportunity if we don't take action now. What those actions are, I wish I had a silver bullet. I don't. But we need to do our due diligence, as we all talk, due diligence, and learn about what's going on and how we safeguard ourselves and grow the county at the same time. Again, I thank you, and I'm sorry that I've come back up here.
Thank you, Vaughn.
My name is Bill Bradley. I'm a farmer. I'm a landowner. I don't think the people that are against this thing realize how much the farmer pays in taxes in this county. The county depends on the farmer to pay these taxes. These taxes are getting out of sight. Land taxes are nearly $50 an acre. You put up a grain bin, you get taxed for it. You put up a storage unit, you get taxed for it. And I don't understand why we are against the solar panels. If you people have all went to the airport in Indianapolis, what do you see? What do you see? Solar panels. Are they hurting anybody? Are they, I mean, do you not like seeing them? What's the difference in seeing a field of corn 6 foot tall or solar panels 6 foot tall?
Victor's in that corner.
And this is going to bring a lot of revenue to this county, right? And we put up these schools paid by the tax people, and we seem to want to run everybody away that's connected with anything. And who pays the taxes on those schools? The farmer doesn't do it all, that's for sure. But we'd like to have a reprieve from some of these taxes. And I see no harm in putting these solar panels on land. We're producing too much. We need to take some of this farm ground out of production. When I farmed versus today, they plant over twice the population. What's it done? And it's caused us to overproduce. And if we take this land out of production, they'll just come along and make a ear of corn or a stalk of corn produce 5 ears of corn. It's just crazy. Anyway, that's my speech.
Jennifer Miles. I was just curious, like, I remember RJ a while back, when we first started talking about the whole data center thing, you had mentioned something about looking into other areas in Manhattan, how they were faring, how the community had felt, and how they were doing now. I'd wondered if you had a chance to make that opportunity, made trips like that, and thought, found how those communities felt about having those now.
Sure.
And if they felt accepting of them.
Yeah, no, I have not made that trip yet. I'd identified a few places in Virginia and Texas. I've sent some emails out to those local leadership down there to ask questions. I've not received any response to that yet. You can go on Google and just about Google any article, but you can find it in favor and against. And, my thought was to be a little more boots on the ground and go to one that's been in operation 5-6 years and, talk to the locals and see, did they deliver on their promises? Did they deliver on the economic agreement? Did they deliver on everything they said? But no, I've not made a planned trip yet, but I do intend to at some point. Thank you. All right, any other public comment for the night?
Good evening. I'm Jim Spiros. I'm a landowner here in Vermilion County, and I'm also part of a family that's involved in the potential for a solar field. I think one of the most important things to address today is that a solar field is very different than a data center. I think all of you probably understand that, but I think it's important for the public to understand that. The footprint of a solar field is very different than a data center. As an example, Mr. Britt brought up the Indianapolis airport, but you can also go to Petersburg, and you can go to Attica, you go over to Champaign County, you go to Benton County, you go to Edgar County, and you can see these solar fields. They have the lowest footprint of energy that we have today. They take the least amount from the environment, and they give us the most. The other thing that I think is very important, if you drive down 63 And if you look at what's been placed, there's infrastructure. That infrastructure makes Vermilion County a corridor for energy. Those transmission lines are there to receive and to transmit energy. And what makes Vermilion County attractive is that those transmission lines have the capability to take that energy and take it to places that need it. And again, to Mr. Britt's point, the tax base is important. Those solar fields will provide a tax base for the citizens. You have a unique resource here. It's not just corn and soybeans. You have an energy corridor. And they can all live together in harmony. And I think it's important that when you examine solar, that you exclude data centers, because they're two different things entirely. Thank you very much.
Jim, yes, thank you. I did have a question for you, if you don't mind. You had mentioned early on about the footprint is very different, and has the lowest footprint in regards to taking from the environment. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So would you say the footprint is different in regards of what it takes up in space in regards to energy production? As an example, the Apex Solar Project is going to, I'm going to paraphrase this number. I think it's 1,800 acres, 2,000 acres, going to generate 250 megawatts of energy. Versus, the new Duke Gas power plant that's, say it's 200 acres and it's going to generate 1,500 megawatts of energy. So in solar, the footprint, it does take up a larger footprint in regards to whether it's a data center or gas production or coal production for that matter.
Sure. And the comparable with regard to the agriculture impact is that if we used all the land we need for solar, it would be less than 1% of our agricultural land. And I'm sure all of you are in tune to this, the price of corn and soybeans right now is at a historic low, based on production cost. And taking out a very small piece of agricultural land in exchange for the benefit that this county would derive is really a no-brainer. And so if you think about it, is it clean energy? Yes. Does it give a tax base? Yes. Does it really impact the agriculture community? No. There's really no valid reason not to consider solar. If you think about it in another context, how many homes do we drive by and we see solar panels on the roof, or we see solar behind their barn? It's the same, it's just a little bit larger. And we're harnessing the energy of the sun to give us energy. And again, you have a corridor. It's not just corn and soybeans in Vermilion County. You have an energy corridor. You should take advantage of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
If I can add to that discussion, some food for thought to add to that discussion real quick. How much water does a solar farm consume to the solar panels cool?
None.
Raindrops?
Nothing. Raindrops.
Nope.
No irrigation.
How much natural gas does a solar farm take to produce electricity?
How do you put out a fire on a solar field?
We've got experts to take care of that. They've got foam apparatuses that they can put those fires out with. There's more to it than just the land footprint. In my opinion, it's the resource footprint.
Next.
Tina Peebles, just a quick question. When you put in the solar panels, you outsource a lot of the energy. We won't even benefit from it. Therefore, our bills have already risen numerous times. We will not benefit from it. So I don't understand how we will. If you can put it in writing that we get that energy from there, I'm all for it. But you cannot outsource it. That's my thing. That's all.
Thank you, Tim.
Hi, my name is Amanda Delp, and I just wanted to touch base off what you talked about with the property taxes and the increase. I do believe that the council did agree on a 10-year abatement for the solar, is that correct? Yes. So how does that benefit us then? Where do we benefit as taxpayers to that?
And I will speak to for the county council, but in lieu of a tax abatement, Apex has agreed or is in the process of agreeing to an EDA agreement where they will give the county X amount of money for that tax abatement. And I believe that number, John, correct me if I'm wrong, is it 13 million?
I would have to look it up.
Yeah, I want to say it's two payments of 6.5 and 6.5. But if you really dive into it, I think, and again, I could be wrong on this, but there was no tax abatement given, I think their taxes would have exceeded that 13 million.
And then also, do the taxes stay within the TIF district? I know I mentioned that at one of the RISE meetings. They mentioned that tax abatements stay within the TIF district, or when they get the revenue, it stays within the RISE is what they talked about. So really, the county residents don't benefit at all from that.
From anything inside the RISE, no. Or, you know, if it's in a TIF district, which I believe we only have, Scott's not here, but John, do we have 2 TIF districts? We've got one down by Elanco.
I think there's currently 2 with maybe a third.
Yeah, with the possibility of a third.
They indicated at the RISE meeting that it would stay within the RISE as that.
Yeah,
part of the
anything
TIF
inside,
district.
yeah, anything inside the RISE does stay within the RISE.
Okay, and then also on the RISE website, it mentions that the purpose of the RISE is to replace the 600 plus jobs that were lost when the ammunition plant left. So I think that should be a goal. You know, we need more jobs, good paying jobs. I know that there was just an ad not that long ago for a job out there that was $16 an hour. That was a laugh. You know, people commented like, you know, we can't survive on $16 an hour. So that would be a goal as well. I also would mention that you talk about first it goes to the RISE, then it goes to the other boards, APC, and one of the members on the RISE, Mr. Ellis, is also a member on all the other boards. So at what point is that a conflict?
Well, he's on the board of the APC, yes. I don't know of any other board Mr. Ellis sits on besides the APC and the RISE. That'd be a question for our attorney if that's a conflict.
There's a document that you can look up. It's the Indiana Conflict Handbook that lists, the general rule is you can't hold 2 lucrative posts at once. It gets into a minutia of arguments about what is and what is not a lucrative post. Generally, you couldn't hold 2 elected offices within the same county, and generally you can't hold an elected and appointed office in the same county if both convey a salary. There are a lot of offices that have been found over the years not to be a lucrative position, and so those don't count. Like I said, I was just starting to look that up when you asked the
I
question.
did
I'll try to get
look
you
at
the
one
name of it.
point, and I did see the
But
part.
there's a whole handbook full of
Yeah.
examples and court rulings as to what is a lucrative position and
And
what's
then it
not.
did go into like when you're making decisions, the same thing like that can become a conflict if it's on the same decision. Okay. And then RJ, when we first started talking, or maybe a couple months ago with the RISE, you did a post on your personal page about you know, our residents for the RISE. I want your opinions. And the last time I looked, you had over 600 comments, and I think probably 99% were no, we don't want it. So I think it's important that you listen to the residents. My property borders the RISE, so not only am I a county employee, my property is on Potter's Lane, which borders the RISE. You know, I have been born and raised here. I have children. I want to stay here, but if I don't have water, you know, then I'm out, you know, and that's why none of us will be here. So
It is the dual office holding guide. It's published by the Attorney General's office. You can look it up online with a quick Google search.
okay, that's it.
Amanda, thank you. And I will say on the $16 an hour thing, yeah, we do need to raise that, but the RISE did sell, or I say Garmong, they did sell that building. The Shell building has sold. They're out there working on that building now, and I think they anticipate first quarter of next year hiring workforce out there, and that's going to bring in 30 to 50 jobs, hopefully a lot of local jobs, and I believe the pay rate's going to be anywhere from $28 to $30 an hour.
I think Joe did answer that at the RISE meeting that it would be 20 something an hour is what they thought it would come to for that particular building.
Sure.
How many employees does the data center employ besides the building of?
I would say very few. I would say very few, depending on the size of the data center.
Right, thank you.
Yeah, the other side of that is we don't know because there's no agreement being talked to with the data center to know how many jobs, how much water.
But I think there's research that would support to show the end of how many jobs they really that, and most of them are remote. You know, they're not really on site. Besides,
You're probably right with some of that, but I want to know what the center, the data center that they're discussing with has to propose, and not what somebody on Facebook.
well, I think it's all probably going to look good on paper. So,
What was the name of that document?
It's called the Dual Office Holding Guide, and you can look it up on the Attorney General's website.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, any other public comment before we move on with the rest of the agenda?
I appreciate the opportunity to get to speak. My name's Randy Hogan. I'm from Marion County. Been here since 1969. Lived across from the ammunition plant when it was RX and RDX, and understand how it works, how it worked at the time, and how it works now. So it's not as dangerous now as it was then, and all that stuff. But living that close, it's scary. And data centers, this is a personal opinion. They're not doing anything except holding information on me and you and things that affect each one of us. And I don't want anybody to know anything about me. The commissioners have said at one point at one of the meetings I was at that they would like to know the feelings of the county. You know, we want to know what you guys think. So the purpose of me getting up today is just to say, how many of you here are here to express your opinion about a data center? The ones that are not for it. The ones that are for it. The ones that haven't really made up your mind yet, or don't have an opinion yet. That gives you an idea. Your people out here, the majority of the people here are speaking. They don't want it. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Randy.
Can I say something? I just want you all to know that the farmer's not for the data center. One reason is the water. I don't know that much about it, but I see it.
Thank you. All right, any other public comment? Anybody out in the gallery want to speak that's outside? No?
Let's see if I can keep it together better this time. Okay, I'm Nancy Foltz. I live down in Clinton Township. And I just want to take a moment to try to separate the two issues of data center and solar farms. They are not the same issue. They are two separate issues for the county to consider. Tonight, you're considering a solar ordinance change to the UDO, and that's what I'd like to address. I haven't made my mind up on data centers, but I do know as a landowner, they are separate issues. One has been looked at by the county, been proposed in the county for over 6 years. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't know what a data center was 6 years ago. So they are separate issues in my mind. There are three issues I'd like to just take a second to think about. That's agriculture. It's not the same as it was even 10 years ago. My husband retired from farming 10 years ago because of a disability. Most people don't know that's why he stopped farming, but he is not able to farm. Because of that, we're a little more removed from farming, but we still have tenants. And our tenants have come to us in the last 10 years at least once, if not twice, and asked if they could reduce the amount of rent they pay on our ground. Not increase, reduce. With that, our taxes continue to go up. So our income goes down as commodity prices stay very stable. If you look at the data over the last 10 years, commodity prices are up 20%, inputs are up, I don't know, who's in the audience who can say it? Bill? They're up 50, 100% on inputs. So the farmer is not making the kind of money they were making even 10 years ago. Things like solar give my family some opportunity to stabilize our economics. It gives us time to do non-traditional farming. There are lots of other options of non-traditional farming. Not everything is corn and soybeans in this county. There are cattle farmers, there are sheep farmers, there are lots of other kinds of things that you can grow. energy is one of those options that 20 years ago, we had no idea that we had the opportunity as a country to have solar energy as something that was a commodity, if you will. Someone mentioned something about whether the electricity would stay here or not. Electrons don't like to move any further than they have to. So the electricity that's in the community stays in the community. How the pricing works, whole different standpoint, but the commodity is actually staying in the community. So all I ask is from the commissioners that you consider that an ordinance that just less than about a year ago that you passed, the UDO, that you maintain that so that we aren't constantly chasing a different regulation as a farm family. Every time you change things, we have to reconsider what we're going to do as a farm. And it's much harder for us to plan long term what we want to do with our land. So I thank all three of you for your moments.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yes, sorry.
Oh, I said thank you.
Oh, I thought you had a question, sorry.
You're good. No, thank you for your comments. All right, anybody else?
Well, my name is Jim Seabold. I'm actually Nancy's neighbor. I'd just like to say that I'm for the amendment to stop any more solar. They talk about the footprint. Oh, it's not that big of a footprint. Well, it's a big footprint when it's going around your house, when it's affecting you. And from what I'm seeing, the 5% that's going to benefit are those that are going to be making money from it. And the 95% that it's going to affect aren't going to make any. I don't know.
What's your tax base?
So, you know, to speak, you come up here. But I'd just like to say that I'm against it. And I just want to go on record with saying I'm against it. And I ask for your vote on this amendment because it's affecting a lot of people, a lot of constituents, in a bad way. And if we're going from the majority, then we should be voting against it. If we're going to vote for the 5% of the people that's going to make a lot of money off this, I guess that's your guys' decision. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. All right, anybody else? All right, hearing none and seeing none, we're going to move on to the rest of the agenda tonight. All right, old business. Amended solar power plant resolution, County Ordinance 2026-9. Benny or Brad, do you guys have anything to add in that before the commissioners entertain discussion on this?
Go. I'm Brad Johnson with Ground Rules. I'm the author of the Unified Development Ordinance, as you know, and some of the folks in the audience also know. Just to address one comment that was made is that when we draft a zoning ordinance, which is what we have, UDO, we do not have a crystal ball. There's no way to know for sure if what we've adopted is going to work well. So we go ahead and adopt them, monitor it, and make changes as we notice things are maybe not working out the way we had hoped to do that. And that's honestly how the healthiest communities out there operate. They don't adopt it and sit on it for 10 years or even 3 years. If you're not looking at and evaluating your ordinances on a 6-month or a 1-year basis to look for ways to improve upon it, then things tend to go wrong or things don't go as smoothly as you'd like them to. So we do advise all communities to be looking for that. Not saying that that's what we have in front of us tonight, but that's kind of the reason why we're here. First of all, I was asked to prepare a moratorium for solar projects. my reaction to that is that that's not the best tool for what the county was looking to do. The county meaning the Area Plan Commission. There's a lot of nuance to moratoriums that just don't really fit, and are just not the best. And I could go into that in more detail, but instead we proposed a amendment to the UDO to take out solar power plants as a permitted use, and that takes out that path for an approval, but it doesn't take away all the paths for approval. So I want to be very clear that it's not a complete ban that's being proposed. It's taking away the easiest path, but it's not taking away all the paths. So the path that still remains is a PUD process, where a project could come through the APC and come through the county commissioners. County commissioners would have the final say over APC. So that is an option with the draft as it is in front of you tonight. After the public hearing, or at the public hearing of the Area Plan Commission, the Area Plan Commission deliberated this very thoroughly. They talked about it. They talked about what other counties are doing. For instance, some counties are just putting a percent cap on all the unincorporated areas. 5%. That's the max that we'll ever approve for solar power plants. So a variety of ideas were thrown out. The idea that's settled in is what you have before you. We had a unanimous vote in support of the draft as it is. I do want to characterize what I hear from the Area Plan Commission, and I hope I'm not speaking out of turn with any of the persons that are on the Area Plan Commission, but one main reason is to take a little bit of time to let the two projects that are already approved start to build out and experience whether or not we've made any mistakes. Do we have the regulations in place that are going to protect your roads, going to protect people's property values, going to protect the environment, going to protect all of the little pieces that are part of why we have a zoning ordinance to begin with. It's not meant to be a permanent ban. It's meant to be an evaluation period of time to see if we got those regulations calibrated well or not. The other reason is to give the public some time to experience it themselves, to get a better sense of whether or not there is an impact and how severe that impact is, how we might be able to mitigate it. So giving people time to really experience what those projects are. And I think the main reason is this concern that the companies that are looking at Vermilion County today could add double, if not quadruple, the amount of land that's already been approved. At that point, if we get to that point, you will have consumed 9 to 11% of all of your unincorporated areas for solar farms. And it's going to go under the regulations that we have in place today. If we don't adopt this ordinance, in the next 2 years, you will likely have committed projects that are going to get you to nearly around 10%, maybe even more. And we won't even know yet if we've got the regulations dialed in well or not. That's a lot of risk, possibly, to say okay to without really knowing if we've got the regulations dialed in or not. So I think it's those three main points as to why we're here tonight with this amendment in front of you. Again, I want to say that it's not meant to be a permanent ban. It's meant to give us time to study it and to make sure that we get the regulations calibrated so when they do come, if they do come, it's that they're more compatible with the county. Some ideas that have been thrown out is that max cap. Does the county want to entertain a max cap? We don't know that right now.
Brad, if I could interject on the max cap, what are we at currently with Apex and Orden? What's the percentage?
So we have 166,000 acres roughly in the county, and 4,000, that's incorporated and unincorporated. I don't know what the unincorporated number is. Okay. Take out cities and towns, but we're at about 4,000 acres.
But that 166 would be a lot lower after you take out Clinton, Cayuga, yes. Perrysville. Okay.
Yep. And it is over 166. It's just I rounded down just a little bit. We want to know if the setbacks are effective. We want to know if the battery storage regulations, there is some serious concern on the Area Plan Commission of runaway fires. Learning about that and how we can address that with the fire departments, whether we can ask for economic development agreements to buttress our fire departments to have maybe even full-time staff that's capable of foaming equipment, whatever it may be, to know what that actually is before we approve them. Once they're approved, it's hard to ask after the fact to give us money, right? I've learned in regards to battery that there's different technologies of battery out, and I want to have time to explain what those, the benefits, the pros and cons are of those. So lithium ion is responsible for about 5% of all of the fires that have occurred in battery storage systems. I'm sorry, nickel, let me rephrase this again, strike what I just said. Lithium iron batteries, which is what you would likely have here, are responsible for about 5%. The lithium ion technology is responsible for the other 95%. So maybe specifying that we only have the lithium iron batteries and fire breaks on the outskirts of those battery farms, things like that may be helpful for us to do. You had fire burns almost most of the summer last year, if I remember right, and then the summer before that. There's concern about a fire getting out of hand. Road impacts, we don't know if we're going to have major road impacts, and how can we mitigate that during the construction of these projects? So one of the farmers I spoke to said that he would love, in the areas that have high yields, he would love to have a row of panels and then 2/3 of the same space being used for agriculture, then another row of panels and then another 2/3 used for, he wants to be able to run his tractor and grow crops still and co-use the land for crops and for solar. We want to explore that. In areas that have very low yields or not great ground for farming, maybe we can allow solar farms to go even more dense in areas that we aren't concerned about the agricultural gains. So there's just some nuanced things like that that the APC would like some time to look at those amendments, and I hope we're back here in a year to 2 years to modify this and to open up the gates again. I don't know what that exact number is. It kind of depends on how quickly Apex is going to start putting equipment on that land and start building. So that's generally why we're here tonight. That's why we're proposing this. Again, I did not hear from anyone on the Area Plan Commission that's adamantly against solar. They just want a little breather here before we commit to doubling or tripling or quadrupling the amount of acreage before we've had a chance to really understand it.
Sure. Penny, do you have anything to add for you? Brad, I do have a couple questions. I'm sure the other commissioners do as well. Hypothetically, say the commissioners approve this text amendment and NG here comes before the APC in 6 months, 3 months. From what I've heard, you guys could take a year, potentially 2 years to look at this. So if they apply through the PUD process, what's that look like? If they come in and apply, is that a 2-month process for them before it gets to the Board of Commissioners? Is it 30 days?
I mean, it's a cycle with the Area Plan Commission, and then it's a cycle with the County Commission.
Okay, so once they apply for PUD, it couldn't sit for 6 months.
No, it's not going to sit for 6 months.
Okay.
The state actually passed legislation that says that we have a shot clock. As soon as they file, you have a shot clock you have to perform within a certain number of days.
Okay. Well, that was one concern that was one concern I had from some landowners that have land signed up with solar companies, is that the APC would sit on this for 2 years, and I didn't know that to be factual, so I want to make sure publicly we address that to say, hey, there still is another avenue for that. I know we had received an email from Ben Ludwig with, and you might know the company's name, I don't off the top of my head, but it's battery storage.
Yep.
And the commissioners received an email stating that basically, if we approve this, it would kill their project. But does their project, are they willing to, do the iron, or is it lithium ion is what they have?
It's iron.
Oh, it's iron? Okay. Okay, so it wouldn't affect that
Yeah,
project.
and there's 2 battery projects that are either have submitted or are on the cusp of submitting applications for those. Both are projects that would be pulling energy from the grid, not from a solar farm, not from the Duke Power Plant directly. And we did not anticipate that, meaning that almost all battery farms historically have been part of a solar or wind project or power plant project. So there is there's in our definition, there is one word change that we would recommend so that it's clear that you can pull energy from the grid when you have low demand and then selling it off or distributing it when it's at high demand. So I do not object to that recommendation for that change.
Okay.
It was not, I don't think anyone in the APC would object to that either. It wasn't the intent. It was just writing what we thought was the common and ordinary way of doing business, and would be willing to accommodate that.
All right, Misty, Bill, any questions for Brad or Penny? And I guess I got one last thing, Brad and Penny. So I know we've mentioned we have 4,000 acres of solar approved, and you know some of the APC had mentioned a max cap, and if some of these other solar projects would get approved, it would be 10 to 11%.
Yeah, I think you're going to be at 10% pretty quick.
I think so. Okay.
Yeah.
And just
in
for
the next 2 years.
Just for the public to understand what, because I assume that 10 11% is what you're pulling from the what's been recorded in the leases. And this is going to be hard for the general public to see, but this is a map of Vermilion County. And down here is the Apex Solar Project. Here is the Vermilion Rise. And as you see up through here, this would be Highland Township, down into Cayuga, Eugene Township. Blue is another solar company. So when they say 10 and 11%, it is from the southern part of the county clear to the northern part of the county. Now, some of these leases, and I know a couple landowners personally, their leases are not recorded into the county. So that's just something, when they mention 10, 11%, it doesn't sound like a big number to the community. But when you look at a map and you see, like somebody mentioned Fountain County, you can see a solar project, and you can see those solar panels right there on I-74. I mean, it is massive right there along I-74. So with some of these potential proposals, it would be down the 63 corridor, you know, from I-74 south, going down into Clinton Township. And my main concern as a commissioner, we talk about, and I see Thrive here tonight, we talk about housing being a big issue for our schools. You know, people cannot buy houses, there's nothing to be built. And if we cover the majority of our land up with solar panels, we're not going to have any housing left to build. People will say that it doesn't, you know, hurt their home values, but I have yet to meet somebody that wants to build a $250,000 house next to a 1,000-acre solar farm. And if someone knows of that person, please introduce them to me, because I haven't met them yet. But anyway, I just want to make sure the public's aware that, you know, without this amendment, to give the county a little bit of time to breathe, look at it, and say, hey, maybe it is a percentage cap, maybe it's this. But if we surround every town with these, it is going to be tough to grow Vermilion County with housing. And I do understand the personal side of it, of personal landowners wanting to do what they want with their land, but at the same token, we have restrictions in place that I couldn't put a landfill next to somebody's house. You know, our UDO is very restrictive on driveway width, on fence height. So I think there's a lot of things that we should talk about and look at our UDO. But anyway,
if I could just add that it was brought to my attention that one of the solar developers that is potentially going to come in the near future, wants to come in the near future, has never gone through a PUD process. I would be glad to help walk them through that process and make sure that they understand how that can happen, what that looks like. I don't want to try to create any roadblocks for them to pursue that and to see that through. Concurrently, I would also, you know, like to work with the Area Planning Commission to just, you know, some of those questions that I listed, there's more, to start trying to answer those questions, the ones that we can, and possibly start to propose some of those regulations. And again, when I say regulations, it's not necessarily to penalize the solar farms, it's to just calibrate it a little differently. Like if you you'll get the exact same net, but if we could just do it this way instead of that way, that helps. It's a win-win for the county and for the solar companies.
What proposals are on the table with adjusting the amendments or amending the EO?
Nothing at this point, other than the
Text amendment.
text amendment.
Pulling and doing it away with it all.
So here's the reason I say I would like to work on that now is that instead of it being a longer pause, it might be a shorter pause. If we can expedite some of this findings, then we could possibly get to the point of opening it back up sooner than later. So that's my hope, is to get the APC, the public, have conversations and see if we can get there. Assuming this this text amendment gets approved, is that it would be my hope to do that as soon as possible versus delaying it a long period of time.
But again, for some of the public that says that they think this is a moratorium, it is not. I mean, a solar company can come in the Penny's office tomorrow and do the PUD process.
Correct.
Tomorrow. And there would be no, I mean, besides the hoops of jumping through the APC, then the Board of Commissioners, we still hold the ultimate approval of any project.
Correct.
Through the PUD
It's like a
process.
rezoning for that land use.
Okay.
It's a rezoning process for that land use.
Yeah, because I've received several emails from members of the community that are in favor of solar projects, and I haven't had an opportunity to respond to them yet, but their understanding was that it was a ban on solar projects, and that is not accurate.
Correct.
That is not 100% not accurate. Okay. Commissioners, any other comments?
Archer, normally I would not. Just for the record, Penny, was the vote unanimous or was it 6-1?
I thought it was unanimous.
It's yeah.
It was.
I've got
I
on
just
the.
want to be sure
I
that on
apologize.
the, I didn't want you to say something on the record incorrect.
Okay, you're right. It was 6-1.
Sorry.
Thank you. And again,
And
correct the record, I
honestly, to
apologize.
follow up on that APC member should have abstained from his vote. And if it come back again, he would be told to abstain from the vote. Because he has farm ground and he's in the money process.
All right, so with that, commissioners, any questions for Brad or Penny before we? Okay, thank you, Brad, Penny. Commissioners, any questions on Marcel on the text amendment or what you'd like to do with what's before us?
I'm a big believer in personal property rights. I don't want the government coming on my land and telling me what I can or can't do on my land. So that's where I sat with. We passed the UDO in March last year. It was robust, something that was a living document that could be changed. And I'm asking, why aren't we changing it instead of just pulling the amendment from the UDO on solar farms?
I'm glad to answer that. The answer is just simply, we don't know. I mean, until Apex starts to build, we don't know if we've protected your roads. We don't know if we've protected people with setbacks. We don't know. I understand your position with protecting property rights, but there's a lot the county is uncomfortable with, neighbors are uncomfortable with, and until they have a chance to kind of see it and live with it a little bit, I think that anxiety is going to be there. I'll be honest, I'm a supporter of solar. In my studies. Pardon? Say it again. I said, personally, I'm a supporter of solar, but it's not for me to bring my personal beliefs to the table. What I have seen in other counties is that there's a lot of concern up front. I see commissioners unfortunately lose elections over it, and then you get people that come in and are very against development, and then you have 10 years of never seeing any more solar again. I don't want that to happen. If it's the right fit here, I would like to, I think, a pause to study and to figure out if we've calibrated. We may only have, I don't know, 1 or 2 small amendments in the end, or may have 10 bigger amendments. We just don't know. So unfortunately, we don't know what we don't know today until we start seeing Apex project or the RISE projects kick off. And also we could theoretically, take people on field trips, APC members possibly, to see what's happening in other counties. to get them comfortable, to ask questions of what they've experienced. We could get through that learning curve fairly quickly, but this was a much faster path to put the pause on, to then do the studies, do the corrections, if there are any, and then open it back up. So, the idea of property rights, I get that. I've been doing this for 35 years now, and I've been in counties that have never had zoning to counties that have had zoning for a long time. Some that take it seriously, some that takes it lightly. My point being is that the counties that don't have zoning are the counties that have the least amount of economic development, if you can believe that. It's the economic development directors are the ones screaming to adopt a zoning ordinance because it creates organization, it creates predictability, and it gives the banks surety to invest in properties. So as an example, banks see investments in those counties as an unsecured investment. And having predictability, the communities that have the strictest zoning regulations are the ones that have the greatest funding mechanisms. It's an oxymoron. It seems just opposite of what's reality. But if you want more investment in your county, having good regulations actually does that. And there's lots of evidence of it. I mean, that's part of the reason why I'm in this business, is because I'm trying to help communities get the maximum economic development and highest quality of life through these regulations.
So when do we as landowners get to think outside the box about what we want done with our property going into the future?
So, I mean, take it to an extreme. If everyone is 100% in charge of deciding what they can and can't do on their property, you're saying that your neighbors have no say in what you do on your property as well.
They pay the taxes on my property?
No, but they pay taxes on their property, and something that you do on your property can greatly negatively impact. So if your neighbor decided the best thing for them was a landfill, they could do that if there's no zoning. And you would be the loser, being the neighbor, for having the smell, the loss of property value, etc., loss of quality of life. It's not a perfect system, but the idea is to balance communities' needs with property rights. And there's a fine line there. And we don't always get it perfect. And I'm going to say that our UDO is not perfect, but I want you to keep working on it so that you can split that difference of what's good for the community and what's good for property rights. Because all community rights doesn't work, all property rights doesn't work. It's somewhere in between.
So how do we work on it if we just pull it off the book?
Well, I can stand here tonight. If you approve this tonight, I will immediately start working with the APC to get through that learning curve as quickly as possible. I'd rather it be, closer to the 1-year pause versus the 2-year pause. And once we get that dialed in, if we've got it dialed in, then open the floodgates. I mean, if people are okay with it and the projects are coming, this is the path to get that done. But I'd hate to see you make a big, approve a bunch of projects and then regret it.
Well, Brad, with that, again, Bill was asking how long it's going to take to do that, and you said, a year. What if the commissioners, would approve this tonight and give the APC a deadline of, say it's 3 months, 6 months? And if the APC can't meet that deadline, we can always rescind or revoke this ordinance, correct?
Correct. Yes.
That is a thought process. If you wanted to put the APC on a timeline to say we want this expedited, but again, it's not telling NG or whoever the company may be, they still have the PUD. So if they can fit it in within that 6-month period, that's fine. But we still have time for the APC to dial in A, B, C, and D issues that they think are. And if that means going to projects across the state of Indiana or Illinois to look at them, I think that could be a potential possibility.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that's missing possibly in 6 months is knowing how the Apex project is building up using your Unified Development Ordinance.
Yeah.
We may not have that piece of data, but we may also get to a point of being comfortable enough with what we learned that we can, approve another text amendment to add it back.
Sure. Well, in that 6 months or 3 months, whatever that timeline could be, the commissioners or the APC could hold public hearings again to garner more public feedback, to show them the map of proposed projects and say, hey, is the setbacks an issue? Can we say, hey, we don't want to so close to a incorporated town because we are looking at housing development north of Perrysville or north of Cayuga, and we don't want to cover this entire thing up. I think there's a lot of avenues to look at for public feedback and the APC if you give them a timeline on this. Any thoughts?
No, I don't.
Misty, any thoughts on the amendment before you then?
I mean, I had some questions that you asked on, so, and, I mean, I just keep going back to, we've had this, Apex has been here, so like, why haven't we been working on it from this point on? So those are things I think about, so.
And I think to...
It's not the only thing we're doing as a board either.
Yes, I just was curious what you mean by that. We've been working with Apex for this long.
Like you've seen, like Apex, it's been in the county, so like what has taken it this long to make that determination to do the amendment?
In the latter 2 months of the UDO process, we actually worked with Apex, learning what their project was about, and some of the regulations are calibrated there. We actually relaxed some of the regulations per their request. APC thought it was reasonable, but we don't know what that really looks like when it's built out. I mean, have you ever approved a project that after you approved it, you go, shoot, I wish I would have known this or that. I didn't catch that on the drawings, or I didn't catch that
on a remodel.
And so we just don't know yet until we see it.
First of all, we worked, Penny Carpenter, Vermillion County Area Plan Executive Director. We worked with Apex on this. They were approved in December. This is July. We were on your agenda in June. We haven't been sitting around twiddling our thumbs. I've had a full agenda every month. Please feel free to come. I'd love to see some commissioners. RJ has attended a couple more meetings. We are doing things. You can ask Mr. Jennings sitting right here. Have we been working? How many meetings have you attended?
3.
Okay, and he has nothing to do with solar. We are doing other things.
And I will say to Missy's question about the, bring this amendment, I mean, I was at one of the meetings where one of the board members had stated they had received 20 and 30 phone calls, and that's what spurred him. And I remember the early discussion was moratorium. Several board members was very big on the moratorium. And hearing your side of it, Brad, you moved him back to say, hey, that's just banning everything. Like, let's find it.
This is a nice compromise between a full ban and giving us some time.
Yeah, so I think, the APC members that are appointed, they're kind of our, spokesperson in the community. There's 7 of them.
Kind of like the RISE board. Stand behind them. Support those
Commissioners, any discussion on this amendment? Is there a motion to approve, or is there thoughts on giving them a timeline of 3 months, 4 months? The only question I would have on it was the iron batteries, Brad, and is that listed in here?
It is not. So
would that have to be amended?
We would either expedite an amendment to change that, or ask you to make that amendment tonight.
Okay.
You can make that amendment tonight, send it back to the APC, and they just have to affirm your change, and then it's done.
And the change would say what exactly?
One is in the definition, just using loose words instead of wordsmithing it here live. The definition simply says that it includes getting power from the grid. Not, because it does imply that the power would be coming from a solar plant or a power plant. And in this case, it would not be. So we would change the bulk energy storage definition to allow energy to be purchased off the grid and sold back to the grid. The second change, you just mentioned that, is
iron.
Oh yes, iron phosphate, lithium ion. We have, it basically says that is banned, and we would just clarify that lithium iron is permitted. That's what's being proposed here anyways. That's what insurance companies are willing to insure. That's what bankers are willing to finance. So it's becoming the mainstream product anyways. So we would recognize that as a permitted type of battery storage.
Okay.
And I would wordsmith it. You just need to say that you would want those changes.
Sure. Okay. All right. Commissioners, is there any support for the amended solar plant resolution ordinance 2026-9 as presented with Brad's 2 amendments? Bulk Energy and Brad, correct me if I'm wrong, could be bought from the grid?
Correct.
Could be bought from the grid. And lithium iron would be permitted?
Correct.
Okay. So is there any support for that and giving it a 3-month window or 6-month? I know 2 years sounds like an awful long time, which it is. It's clear into 2028. I know the APC does work diligently on this. I would be in favor of approving the amendment if we want to add like a timeline, 90 days, 3 months. And even if we approve it, you can always rescind it after the 90 days if we don't feel that they've done anything adequate in time.
Motion tonight.
So you're not supportive of even a 90-day?
I'm not gonna make a motion.
I'm asking if you support it.
No.
Misty, any support? No? All right, I will say publicly that I did support the text amendment as written, and I was willing to mitigate to 90 days for the APC with the 2 recommended changes that Brad had suggested. Due to lack of support by the commissioners, we will move on to the next item on the agenda. Economic Development Agreement and C. Rich Anderson and Vergy. These are just old business items that we have no update on. The Economic Development Agreement is tied in with the road use agreement and the decommissioning agreement with the Brilletts Creek solar project. So those there will just be left on the agenda until we have action on those 2. And then next item for old business, discussion of financial planning agreements with Baker Tilly. We approved those last meeting. That's county council set aside money so we can do some financial planning going into the future. Dad, do you have an update on that from Baker Tilly?
No.
No. So they'll be meeting with us and council on that to go forward. All right. New business. Mr. Jennings, change in zoning, 3144 North State Road 63. If you want to come up to the podium.
Hello, Phil Jennings.
And if you just want to walk the commissioners through your zoning change.
So I am in the process of putting in an RV park on my property. The way my zoning is right now, I qualify to do a temporary RV park. But I feel like there's going to be multiple years of work around here. I have 5 years personally to get to retirement, and I would like to have my business to be a permanent business and not a temporary business.
Sure.
That requires a zoning change.
Okay. And for commissioners, this is located right next to the Duke Energy site. If you're going in for the new construction, if you take a left on a private lane, Mr. Jennings lives right there. And
I share the drive.
I'm trying to get it open.
So
before that.
Way before that.
Way before that.
So here it is. Well, it's on our computer. We can see it just fine.
Right when we went to
Look,
the grand
we're
opening,
shutting
he
down
was
the other one. I need to do it.
and his house sits right there.
I
And he's gonna put it right by his house.
Correct, yeah, on the property line. So I share a property line with Duke Energy.
And your zoning
nothing
recommendation passed with a favorable recommendation.
Yes, it was publicly legally advertised in the newspaper. All adjacent property owners were contacted by certified mail. I did follow up with Eliza Porter. She lives just past this. She is happy or has no concerns about it.
Sure.
Awesome. There, I have it for a second. There it is. So this is Mr. Jennings' property. This is Eliza Porter. Let me see if I can pull this. Nope. Right down here is Duke Energy. This is her new site. So this used to be the boys' home, or the call-it home. So when you come off the highway, you're going to turn left and then right back right to get to his property.
Yep. All right, commissioners, any questions for Mr. Jennings? No? I see. No? If I have it.
This is to make it like a permanent trailer park.
It's RV, so, and the state of Indiana will allow me 9 sites on my property. I've done all the work with engineering companies and getting everything up and ready to go. Like I said, I qualify to do a temporary site right now. I just would, I want it to be permanent, I want something to do, in retirement.
All right, if there's no any other questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the zoning change as presented by Mr. Jennings here tonight.
I will make that motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Peebles. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Hess. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call for vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
I appreciate it, Commissioner.
Yep, thank you.
Brad had a question, and I think you guys need to clarify something on what Brad's asking me. Different results occur if you reject a proposal to change the zoning ordinance or if you fail to act on it. Now, if you fail to act on it, it takes effect in 90 days. If you reject it, you have to put your reason for rejection in writing and send that back to the APC. You've got time, but you may want to decide, are you rejecting it or are you failing to act on it, just so you're aware of potentially differing circumstances.
Sure.
Can you give us that rundown again?
What statute says, Brad came up and asked about this.
Bill, you're done.
If you, the APC is proposing a change to the zoning, okay? And if they propose a change and you just do nothing, if you go, I'm just gonna sit here and not even look at Brad or acknowledge him, technically the proposal then takes effect after 90 days. So if you are failing to act on it, it will take effect in 3 months. If you're rejecting it, then you need to give them a written reason why you're rejecting it, and then it starts a different time process that they have to follow. So I just was suggesting you might want to clarify what your intention is.
Sure. So John, with I'm in the minority on this one, but with the majority, if they choose to reject it, is it going to be the motion for rejection then?
No, we have to give them a written reason why we rejected it, and then that starts a new timeline for them to analyze why we rejected it and maybe submit something different to us.
I understand.
But I think what Brad's pointing out is that at least he's telling me he's not clear on whether you rejected it or failed to act, and so we may have a possible different result than is intended.
I understand.
I mean, I've read you as you rejected it, but I mean, most communities that I work with, the legislative body will actually reverse the motion and say we want a motion to reject it for these reasons, second it, vote on it, and get that recorded, and then that goes back. Most people do vote for that rejection. I don't know if John's reading the statutes. If he's comfortable with not voting, that's fine, but I think that's the common practice. And then that goes back to the Plan Commission with that information.
Okay.
But I just didn't want you to get have this 90-day thing taken. I wanted to honor your decision tonight and not have a loophole fight you.
Misty, Bill, I'll leave that up to you guys, what your guys' action is on that, and if you want to reject it or take no action.
If I have to, I'll make a motion to reject it tonight.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor to reject the amended solar power plant resolution ordinance 2026-9 as presented by Mr. Peebles. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Ms. Hess. Now, John, do they have to state in the meeting the reasons for rejection?
It says if we reject it, then we give them a written reason for the rejection.
Does that need to come from RJ? Does that need to come from Bill and I?
It just says the legislative body shall give notice of the rejection.
Yeah. Well, that's fine, but he's the president, so he is our spokesperson. So.
Sure. again, does that need to be done in the meeting, John, or can the?
It just says to give them a written reason for the rejection. So if you'll give me a reason, Ron and I can put it in writing and normally walk it over to Penny.
Sure. Okay. Any other discussion for call for vote? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, all opposed? Aye. Motion carries 2-1, and Misty Bill, if you just want to get the reasons to John, and I can give it, auditor can give it, doesn't matter, but we'll get those to the ATC. All right, now that we've got that clarified, move down the agenda. Heine? Gotta listen to the boss, right?
Yeah.
Okay, my stuff's not as deep, so, I just wanted to let everybody know my monthly update. My total caseload is 326. I have 256 open claims, and I have closed out 70 claims. I also filled out 136 forms, uploaded 59 documents. Some of those documents was hundreds of pages long, but we won't talk about that either. Total communication was 56. I attended a 4-day conference the week of June 14th, which wound up being a 4-day for veterans law. And so I have lots of tools in my toolbox, and fortunately for some veterans, and I'll just say claimants, in 1 week we had over $100,000 paid in new money in veteran benefits alone. In 1 week. My ultimate goal for this year, for the fiscal year of 2025, I don't have the numbers yet, but my goal I posted on my board was 5 million. My personal goal is 10 million, but my darkest desire is $15 million in the fiscal year of 2025 in veteran money coming into this county. That is economic development right there for you. Also, I just want to let everybody, I am also in my budget for 2027, I did put in to the council for at least part-time help. And so I would be asking for about 15 hours a week. And that would be simply just to help me, like, answer the phone if I'm gone, even to go grab chow and I come back. There's been times I came back to 13 voicemails in less than an hour. So the workload I have, I cannot keep up with what I'm doing and to effectively represent these veterans like they should be. And then one of the things also I had brought up after I came back was I brought it up to the auditor because it was brought up in our training that with veterans law, you do not have to be a licensed attorney to practice veterans law nor Social Security law. And so with the veterans law, that is what I am doing. And so I would like to be put under the umbrella as the commissioners and council's attorney for liability issues. That was something that was brought up at the training also.
So Ani, so can you do veterans law now that you went to this
Yes.
4-day?
Yes, I am practicing veterans law. I type up 4 or 5 page appeals. I represent veterans in higher level reviews, veterans court. I'm doing it all. There is a course at I think it's Joseph and Mary, and that is a veterans law certificate that I'm wanting to do, but I'm also wanting to get my national accreditation for VSO also.
The only reason I was asking was because I'm not sure you're paid enough money with all these accreditations that you're getting.
But it's giving me more tools for the veterans and these widows. I just submitted a 6-page for a widow whose husband passed away in 2001. That's 6 figures this lady can get back. That's enough to pay off her family farm. This money that's coming into these veterans and these families, this is life-changing money. you know, I've had to call the bank and talk to banks before for veterans or widows, you know, hey, they've got the money coming in, it just hasn't hit the bank yet, work with them. Thankfully, we live in this small community that the bank can put stuff off, you know, just for, you know, we don't have another foreclosure in this county.
Sure.
Sorry, and also, there is a new property tax deduction form. Veterans, it is mandatory. Okay, and I'm not even gonna talk to the veterans. I'm gonna talk to the women in your lives. I need you guys to come in and fill out these property tax deduction forms. It's mandatory. It's not an option. If you want the veteran property tax deduction credit, it is not a deduction anymore. It's a credit. So if you want them, you got to come into the office and you got to get signed up for them. I cannot make it any more simpler than that. If your veteran passed away to service-connected issues, you don't have to worry about paying property taxes anymore. Come in, let's fill the paperwork out. So I'm trying to save people as much money as they can. And so I just really need you guys to come into the office. GDX says I have 890 veterans in this county. I better be seeing at least 1,000 of them rolling in by the time you do veterans and widows and everything in between.
On that, is that an annual, you gotta fill that out annually, or is it a one-time thing?
Well, our powers to be in Indianapolis haven't figured that out yet. The form was just released. I started filing the form when I got back so the 21st I started it. So they're not for sure if they're gonna have it do it annual or not. But I know, like Indiana, we are leading the way with the SB 433, and that was where, you know, all of us VSOs, we go through the same training. But a good VSO is going to practice the law. I'm not a paper filer. If you want somebody to file papers for you, go to another county. That's not what I'm here for. So I just need people to help spread the word to these veterans, especially the widows. I've had so many widows come to me, you know, I knew I qualified, but I kept saying, you know, they kept telling me I wasn't. I'm still fighting for you. Come in and let's reopen this, and because it could be just something as simple as an appeal.
Sure.
So, but yeah.
Mighty, on that, before you go, one, keep up the great work, and I think the reason you might be overwhelmed is people are seeing a really good veterans officer, you know, do the work for them, and I can't express my gratitude and thanks for the job you're doing in your position. So thank you again.
Get into forms, get into the office.
So,
down on the first floor, yep, you go through security checkpoint, and you'll hang a hairpin turn to the right, and you'll come back down. But I have the property tax forms. I have them at American Legions in St. Bernice, Cayuga, Newport, and Clinton. And then I've got some just down there on the desk by the kiosk. Yeah, I can email them to you, you know, whatever. I do home visits if I need to drop some off at other places, you know, let me know. I'm here for you.
Do the veterans have to be service connected for these credits?
Yes, but that's what I'm here for. So if you have a veteran, because I have a lot of them that are nervous with the, you know, going to the VA. Sorry. Medicine. And I try and make it as painless as possible for the veteran or the claimant. And so there's two different types of forms, and we can talk about that. So what do I have tomorrow? Tomorrow is Tuesday. Come on in tomorrow. I'll open doors. Just come on in. So, and we'll go through it.
I would like to propose Heine here. Heine does so much for the veterans, from dog sitting if you're at the hospital and you can't take care of your dog, to taking meals, like we have our Christmas meal here, what leftovers we have, we fix 6 meals and send home with her to take the veterans. She goes above and beyond.
So Penny's right there helping me too.
the last thing I was gonna say was, we do have that Text My Gov service, that
Yes.
if you haven't, been trained on it yet, I can help set you up
I've
with that.
already sent text messages out on
Oh,
it
have
about
you?
the property tax.
Okay, I was gonna say,
Yes.
use the Text My Gov thing.
Yes.
Now, did you use the whole 6,000, database, or did you just do the ones that had signed up for your veterans updates?
Just the ones that sign up for the veterans thing,
Okay.
because I didn't realize I can do it under a general one.
Yeah, there's one on there, I forget which one it is, but if you click, I think there's two, I think it's
Vermilion
imported.
1, Vermilion 2.
Yep, they're imported, and that'll
Okay.
get you about 6,000 people in the county.
Okay, I was just trying to stay in my lane.
Now you
So-
can use it.
I've seen it on Facebook too.
So,
Well, keep up the good work.
Do you want to discuss a little bit about getting some part-time help?
yes,
did a little bit.
yeah. I mean,
Where's the
I know
council?
it's been a long meeting for everybody.
Well, we would like to see the support of the commissioner that
Yeah,
If
I'd
it
be
goes to
more
council,
I'd be more
ask.
willing to sign a letter of support for you for part-time help. My only request would be that you find someone just like you.
Yeah,
you, can you
I
find
wouldn't be able
yourself-
to work with anything less than that. No, yeah, no, certain expectations. But, yeah, but I would prefer, for it to be a veteran also.
Sure.
Um,
I'm not sure, I don't think the commissioners would object to supporting you in part-time help.
Absolutely not.
No, absolutely, yeah. And we'll draft a letter for you to put in with your budget request.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, next on the agenda, vacation of Alleyway, Jerry and Heidi. I guess you could have just stayed up there.
I'll let him do it.
Okay.
I have these parcels. I'm trying to get everything put into one piece of property.
Sure.
It's a lot of different lots. I've got 6 through 10, and then I also have a little lot just north of our place that I need to put all of it in mine and hers name, where it's one big property. And if you like to see what it is,
There's an alleyway in there.
yes, sir. Yes, sir, there is.
And you own on both sides of it,
Yes,
correct? Yep. And there's no utilities going down it?
No, sir.
Servicing another property? Go. Still utility on it. Yeah, I had the same issue a few years ago. I went to go get a loan on my property and found out there was an alley going through my garage that I had to vacate. So,
Well, we bought the other property, but it was stationed in lots. It was 6 through 10 on the Burns, Nolan, or Burt Nolan's properties. And then, number 6 was, I'm sorry, 7 through 10. Number 6 was the Peyton property, just a little horse pasture. But it's all lots, and I mean, everything into one, because it all combines onto us. So.
yeah, absolutely. All right, commissioners, any questions?
I previously had no issues with,
Vacating.
I'm just trying to get rid of the property, build the property lines in there to make it.
I see no issue with you becoming the landowner of that alleyway.
Ms. Diener? Nope. All right, well, I'll entertain a motion for the vacation of alleyway as presented to us tonight by Mr. Jerry Mahan. Oh, yeah. Is there anybody in the public here to object or speak in favor of this valley? No? Hearing none and seeing none, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion by Mrs. Hess. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Peebles. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you. Got a few of these tonight. Next, vacation of alleyway, Kenneth Scott, ordinance 2026-10.
My name is Kara Scott. I'm here on behalf of my father-in-law, Larry Scott, and his wife, Diana Scott. I didn't bring any paperwork because I wasn't told that I needed to, so I apologize. We actually have a similar situation with their property. They have several lots, and it's been over 30 years that they've owned the property. And when we had tried to actually get theirs refinanced for them, found out they have 3 different alleyways, one of them going through their home. So we're doing the same thing, trying to vacate those.
Sure. Commissioners, any questions?
I'm so sorry, I should have brought one, but I
Those 3
didn't.
highlighted.
These right here.
Yeah, there's like 3 of them, and there's several lots there.
acres, you don't have the 22.
Absolutely.
What I'm supposed to be looking at, there,
Sure.
it's kind of highlighted.
I know, it's good. I think they're the orange ones.
Yeah, it's those 3 orange ones, Bill.
I might add that these have also been looked at with Penny Carpenter area plan, and she approved these also for you guys.
They're all part of their yard.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we'll ask the public any comments, objections to this vacation of alleyway. Hearing none, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the vacation of alleyway for Kennescott County Ordinance 2026-10. I have a motion by Mr. Peebles. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hess. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And the last vacation of alleyway, Thomas and Angela Earhart, County Ordinance 2026-13. Good evening.
This is for Price Street and just south of our property. Basically is for all intents and purposes, an abandoned road. I plow the snow on it every year. It's not maintained by the county, so we're just trying to get it closed down so it's not a turnaround thoroughfare for all, to be honest, what it's. Right now, it looks like it's somewhere you can go, and we have a lot of people that wind up down at the end of our properties, turning around.
So you own north of this?
Yes.
And who owns south of it?
Mike Fike owns south of us.
Okay. And no objections to the opposing landowners?
No.
So if this alleyway gets closed, you'll get half of it and the other landowner will get half, is that correct?
I'm not real sure on that, because when you pull it up, where the line is goes way into our property, as saying Price Street. So when I looked it up, I thought it said that, we would have to do .43 at it, and we'd have to get a new, survey on it.
Okay. I know historically before, Bill and Misty were here, whenever a county alleyway was closed that you didn't own on both sides, it was split, whatever that alleyway, say it's 25 feet.
Yes.
Unless you guys agree differently, then they're gonna get half that alleyway and you guys will get the other half.
Okay.
But as long as, Mike Fike doesn't have any objections to that, and we'll ask the crowd to see if there's any objections, but commissioners, any questions for Thomas and Angela? No, Misty? All right. Any comments, objections from the crowd for County Ordinance 2026-13 for this vacation of alleyway? Hearing none and seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve County Ordinance 2026-13 as presented. I have a motion from Mr. Peebles. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Alrighty, Brad, you're next on the agenda. We had spoken, the commissioners briefly know a little bit about Mr. Keniser's idea, and then just talk us through what you're thinking.
Yeah, as RJ just mentioned, Eddie Keniser spoke to me the other day and asked, I told him I was going to be here, and I would just ask to be on the agenda to speak on his behalf. He's concerned about building demolition projects in the county as well as the illegal dumping in the county. You do have a illegal dumping ordinance from 1994. It's not quite thorough, and not sure that the health department is ultimately who's supposed to be enforcing that. There's some changes there I think could be helpful. One is to broaden who can enforce that ordinance, so it's not just the health department. Maybe it's the planning office, maybe it's also the sheriff's office, whatever. We can add folks to that. So if somebody sees illegal dumping happening, they can document it, cite it, whatever that may be. But particularly concerned about demolition. Eddie made me aware of a couple of projects recently where materials were taken onto farmland and kind of disappeared. I don't know if he doesn't know, he didn't go and follow them onto the farmland, but that's where they were taking it, which is not a legal destination for construction waste. So not sure if they dug a hole and buried it, not sure if they dumped it in a ravine. He's just concerned about some of that kind of thing happening. So the solution could be just making an update to this illegal dumping ordinance and possibly adding a demolition permit process. But he's very adamant that he's not asking for somebody or someone to pay much for a demolition permit, $20, $25. A dumpster's, $600 for $400 to $600 depending on the size. He doesn't want to make money off that. He just wants people to be supervised as to where they're taking that material. He made a recommendation that if it's a publicly funded project, is that those have to be dumped at the local municipal or whatever the county's landfill. He has a variety of other recommendations, but mostly concerned about making sure that these projects don't get underbid and then the waste just gets burned in somebody's backyard or buried in somebody's backyard instead of being taken. He's also concerned about some of it not getting separated out, so maybe asbestos is part of it, or if there's chemicals a part of that demolition, that they're just getting buried and burned as well. So he asked me to speak to you and see if you would be interested in having myself or somebody work on an ordinance amendment. One other link that you could go to, and I want your feedback on it, some communities actually have a certification process for people doing demolition work. That certification, again, it's not meant to be a cost gain it's meant to bring people in. They read the rules and they sign a piece of paper and they're kind of certifying that they understand what the rules are, and that if they then violate the rules, they can lose that certification. Maybe there's a one-time warning, and then the second time they lose their ability to do demolition business in the county, something like that. Again, whatever those details are, if you authorize this as a project, you have the final say. It doesn't go to the area planning commission, it comes just straight back to the commissioners. So just wanted to seek your input on that on behalf of Eddie and see what direction you might want to go with that.
So Brad, is your opinion then not to have the APC draft something as an amendment and just the commissioners do an ordinance, or?
Both of these would be what I would consider just a county commissioner authorized ordinance. It doesn't have to go through planning. Now, we could make some amendments to the UDO, but I think the best path is to do those as, just like the illegal dumping ordinance.
Just a county ordinance?
It's a county ordinance.
Sure. Commissioners, any thoughts, comments on it?
What kind of timeline would that look like?
Because I assume we would include Penny on it, just because if there is a permit, it would probably have to go through her. But I do share the concern, and this isn't from any, but I mean multiple people. I mean residents, I'm not necessarily too worried about, but like the county works projects, it's kind of like dump receipts. When you get these Oprah grants and everything, you have to admit, you have to follow certain guidelines, and it's just keeping contractors honest to make sure it's not getting dumped in a field somewhere and burned.
90% of communities have a permit for demolition. I mean, that's very, very common. It's a good fit in the UDO. It's a good fit as a standalone ordinance. There's pros and cons to one versus the other, but it could go either way.
Okay.
But authorizing Penny's office to be part of that, the process of applying and then inspecting or supervising.
You might want to involve the sheriff's office too, because they're the ones that end up with a lot of the complaints about construction waste being dumped on somebody's property.
Yeah, it's one of the
see what they're dealing with.
Sure.
And waste really should get separated into materials that are building materials, hazardous building materials, and then kind of everything else, garbage, and just making sure that people are actually doing that. Because legally in the state, you cannot bury regular garbage with construction waste, and you can't bury construction waste with garbage. They're supposed to be kept separate.
So do you think, John, what's your thoughts on if the commissioners are in favor of pursuing something like this, you, Brad, Penny, the sheriff's department, department work together and maybe at our next meeting have a draft for us by August?
I think we had done a dump in ordinance 10 or 15 years ago.
1994.
No, there was another
Oh,
one.
was there another one? Okay.
Because I remember there was a problem with garbage showing up on other people's property, and they would trace it back to the person, they'd find receipts or whatever, they'd trace it back to them, and the person said, well, I gave this to some guy to haul off for me, I don't know how it ended up here. And so we actually made an ordinance that if your garbage ends up in somebody's yard, we're gonna fine you, we don't care who you gave it to haul off.
Sure.
Because that was likely a lie.
Yeah.
So we might try to find that one and see what it covered, and then, yeah, work on something new.
Sure. Misty, Bill, what's your thoughts?
One thing, I speak highly for personal property rights, but I don't think everybody should have a dump in their backyard, so.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure.
So I have no agenda here other than I told Eddie I would speak on his behalf.
So are you guys in favor of having John, Brad, and Penny work together on a draft ordinance, something that we could look at in August?
I'd be glad to do that.
You guys? Huh? Are you good with it? Okay. John, Brad, if you guys could work with Penny and the Sheriff's Department on that, then get us a draft and then by our next meeting. All right, thank you. All right, next on the agenda, Patrick Sheridan, consultant from Fire and Risk Alliance.
Yes, hi, thank you for having me here tonight. Pat Sheridan, I'm a consultant with Fire and Risk Alliance. It's a fire engineering company. They do fire testing, they write ERPs, modeling. That's not my background, I'm not an engineer. I'm a professional firefighter with 30 years experience, 15 years as a chief officer. So I'm part of a group that conducts training. We go around the country, we train fire departments on these battery energy storage sites. Companies such as ENGIE bring us in, come here tonight, they brought me in here to speak. One of the points I wanted to bring up was the, I think there was just, I wanted to clarify one point about lithium ion. Lithium ion batteries. Lithium iron phosphate is a subset of that. So that's a type of lithium ion battery, is lithium iron phosphate. And that's the type of batteries that are used nowadays in these battery energy storage sites. Free to, more than happy to answer any questions. And like I said, we conduct training for the fire departments when these sites are constructed. We consult with planning and zoning, various town boards, things like that, and answer any questions they may have.
Sure, so I do have a question for you then. So you do training for fire departments, so for like solar fields, battery storage, or is it just battery storage?
Battery storage. My group is generally battery storage.
I was hoping solar. I was gonna have you do some training here, so that's kind of.
There are people that do conduct that. My company, but I'm battery energy storage.
Okay, so your company, do they do any solar at all then, or no?
They do consult.
Okay. Well, if you could give us your information, I think that'd be nice to have. And then your trainings on these battery storage, if we would happen to get one in the county, what type of training is it? Just how they fight the fire?
Yeah, it's the like ENGIE would be the one to bring us in.
Sure.
The companies bring us in, and generally what we do is we do a classroom and also a site visit if it's already been done. So we'll go through, we'll game plan what they want to do. We go through, it's going through actually what these battery energy storage systems, the different equipment, the things they would find, and tactics.
Sure. So does your company have an assessment then to say if a battery storage comes in, what equipment a local fire department would need to fight one of these?
Generally, fire departments do not require any new equipment.
Really?
I think foam was mentioned. Foam is not used. Clean agents are not used. So no,
Okay.
they wouldn't be. Generally, they wouldn't require any new equipment.
Okay. Even if my fire departments have equipment that's like 35 years old?
That's something that the client sometimes deals with the fire departments, and they work with them.
Okay, sure. So if we do end up getting a battery storage, a phone call to you to say, hey, this company's looking here, and say it's Cayuga Fire, Help Fire, whoever, you could come in and work with them to look to see, hey, is this equipment adequate? Do they need something else?
Yeah, that's discussed. You
Okay.
know, sometimes, hey, you might want something.
Sure.
Monitor or something.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah. Well, if you got any info, well, I think in here it's got your phone number and email, so, okay.
And I'll be here to answer any questions.
Commissioners, anything for Patrick? No? Thanks for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, next on the agenda, Prosecutor Bruce Ackerman.
Sorry, I'm not a prosecutor.
Annie, is the game still going on?
Yes, it just started.
Did you record it?
I'm watching it as we speak. They just did the national anthem.
Soccer games last a long time, don't they? Like 2 hours?
Yes.
Bruce, you hear that? You're on a time crunch.
I know.
Annie's got to get home to watch some soccer.
So, I sent you guys an email. I'm Bruce Ackerman, Vermillion County Prosecutor. I sent you guys an email a couple of days ago, and I knew that this meeting was going to be long, and you had a huge agenda. And I told you in there, come to this meeting, please come to this meeting, and prepare to be inspired. And we're at that part of the meeting. I've got with me, I counted 10, unless somebody passed out from the heat. And every guy that's standing up along the wall there, I'm telling you, could tell you a story for the rest of the evening, and you would forget what time it was. You know, it is no secret that Vermillion County is and has been hard on drug cases. Everybody behind me here is with the Truman House, and it's a recovery center in Terre Haute, Indiana. I think you guys can hear, so I'll kind of speak this way some too. I've been prosecutor for 15 years, prosecuted thousands of cases, and I have not encountered, there may be one, there may be 10, all right, but I have not encountered a single drug rehabilitation program that comes anywhere close to this. And here's the amazing part. We don't pay them a dollar, not a single tax dollar. The way this works is if they are a Vermillion County case, they have been arrested and they have gone to jail, and there is a bond schedule out there set by the judge. People say, Bruce, your bond schedule. It's not my bond schedule, it's the judge's bond schedule. Everybody in his court abides by it. There's a bond schedule. Some bond out, some can't, some won't. When a person is addicted to methamphetamine, heroin, any number of those drugs, the time that is spent in jail, and we have a wonderful staff at the jail, and they truly save lives. And I don't see Mike here tonight, but they deserve a lot of credit. But the guys from Vermillion County have been arrested, they've been charged, and as it usually works, I don't know what the stages of addiction and recovery are, but there's a lot of denial. I didn't do it. You got the wrong guy. We go through that game, okay? Ultimately, we get to a point where they start thinking clear. And once they start thinking clear, then we can have a conversation with them and their lawyer, okay? Unlike some places, they don't get sent someplace and their charges dismissed. They're held accountable here. One of the things that happens is we enter into what's called a conditional release. We just had one today. In fact, just the Truman House in the last 45 days, roughly, I think we've sent 7 men. Now, those are all Vermillion County cases. We don't send them because they were arrested and charged in Fountain County or Park County or Terre Haute. They can be from Terre Haute. In fact, if you look, most months, our jail ranges, rough numbers, anywhere from 45 to 50% of the people are from Vermilion County. The rest of them, we're dealing with somebody else's problem. A lot of them out of Illinois, a lot from Terre Haute, and a lot of these, and I'll try not to go on too long. I know you've sat for a long time, but a lot of these that we get have been, it's probably a bad phrase, it's kind of a fishing phrase, but it's a catch and release. Okay, they're arrested, and the next day in Danville, they're out. 2 days later, 3 days later. Okay, you're not going to cure their problem with a couple days in jail. You're not going to cure their problem with a 30-day program someplace. Okay? So when they finally come to their senses, and that can be months down the road, we say, okay, we're not going to dismiss the charge, but we'll work with you and you get to prove yourself. So they will be released. They'll plead guilty, usually first. So they know what they're looking at if they fail. And then Derek, second in line here, guy in the hat, I think he has come up here and picked up every single person that's released. And that's not the proper word for it because we don't release them. We say, Derek, he's ready to pick up at the jail. Because what we've found through experience is if you let Derek or Tyson here in the front spot, if you let those guys out, they may mean well. Nobody wants to be an addict, right? And they're going to go to Truman House, but they got to go home first. They got to get some stuff. And then the neighbor comes over, and it's off to the races. So Derek comes up, he gets them at the jail, and he takes them back to Truman House. And here's, I think, one of the most beautiful things about Truman House. And the reason there's no ladies standing here with them, there's one in the back, but you're not with them. Is they don't have females in their treatment program. This is not. This is the furthest thing from a vacation a guy can take. All right, because they make you walk the chalk, and you're going to follow the rules, and there are a lot of rules. I think Derek, guy in the hat, he's kind of the rule enforcer, and that's kind of interesting and ironic because there wasn't a rule Derek didn't break 10 or 15 times coming up, right?
Yep.
And that's Derek Kinderman, this is Tyson Cargill, and the third guy there in the blue shirt, and I asked each of them if they minded if I used their name, is Philip Ross. Philip is an amazing story. I have not seen anyone come into court closer to death than Philip Ross. I honestly didn't think that he would live. And I'm not going to get into facts of their cases, but if you knew the facts of the case, you'd be like, yeah, boy, I'm surprised he didn't die too. Okay? Philip is 9 years clean. One of the things that Truman House does is they say, okay, Buckwheat, first thing you're going to do is forget your old ways because we got some new ways. And if you don't want to be here, leave. And we've got a remedy for that in the plea agreement. If you leave or get kicked out, you return immediately to jail or we charge you with another felony. And if you run, we fine you. Wherever you go, you'll be found. You'll be brought back. You'll face failure to return to lawful detention, which is another felony. So you got another felony on top of what you've already signed. And what you've signed usually leaves it up to the court's discretion, the judge back there in the doorway. So there's a huge hammer hanging over these young men. So when they get there, they got to clean the house. You got to make your bed. And to me, the magic maybe of all of this is you got to get a job. You got to work. Because you can imagine what some of their employment was, right? Before coming to this. And they do, it's miracles. There's no MD down there. There's no PhD down there. They figure it out and they fix it themselves with no tax dollars. Not a dime. So why are they here tonight? Well, they're here tonight, one, because I wanted to tell you and let you see some of them. I mean, I could go down the road. It's just, you know, miracle after miracle after miracle. And these guys work it every day. Some of them, we have one that we just did a conditional release on. He's going to be there for 2 years. Can't leave, can't get kicked out for 2 years. Doesn't cost the taxpayers a dime. Some of them are 9 months. It depends on the charge. But we have found that the longer you stay at Truman House, the more likely you are to not only help yourself, but to help somebody else. And the one thing that if you engage these guys in conversations, what you find is within just a few minutes, I mean, they really don't want to talk about themselves. They want to talk about what somebody else is doing. If you talk to Tyson, he'll tell you how great Derek's doing. And if you talk to Derek, he'll tell you how proud he is of Dustin or whoever. Okay? I mean, it is a tremendous program. Their houses are in Vigo County. I think part of the theory is you got to get people away from that neighbor who keeps coming over, okay? And every trick that an addict will try, these guys have already done, so they know them all. They know them all, and they'll call you on it. And they're very blunt with one another. And I appreciate them. I'm very grateful for them because what they have done in helping themselves is also help a bunch of Vermilion County families. Okay, because a lot of these folks, by the time we see them in the criminal justice system, they've gone through their friends, their family, their employers. They've just gone through all of it. And so you see them start building that back. And every now and again they have these retreats and they come to Newport and you talk about a bunch of fun-loving people and they got their kids and their wives and their girlfriends and it is just an amazing program. And I want to give out a number here because the audience here, while there's a lot of people, it's limited and this is going to go out. If you've got somebody in your family that needs help, the Truman House phone number is 812-229-7244. Tyson's kind enough to give me his email address. It's Tyson, TysonCargal47X @gmail.com. And there's nobody better. There's just nobody better. None that I've seen. And there's a lot of great programs out there. There's a lot of great programs, and we're blessed to have all of them. But I haven't seen anybody do it better. So the reason we're here is a few years ago there was an opioid settlement by Big Pharma due to all of the opioid addictions, and every county and state got some money. Vermilion County got some money, and you can only use that money for certain reasons in certain ways. You can't just say, okay, we want to put new lights around the square, let's do it. There's restricted funds and there's unrestricted funds. And you know what that means. Unrestricted has a lot more uses than restricted. But one of the things, and I'll share the information, guys, we have with John, so he'll make sure to get you guys on the right page. But in the restricted, and you should have a handout there, there is, in the unrestricted funds, there's currently $68,617.77. In the unrestricted, no, correct, restricted funds, which has fewer things you can use it for, $125,099.28. So, and I appreciate what you did a couple of years ago, RJ. In December 19th, 2023 to be exact, there was a commissioners meeting. And at that time, we had a tremendous program in Vermilion County called Peer Court. And it was a court where it was all juveniles, and there's a lot of first-time offenders, and we used peers. They had judges, they had juries of their own age group. Phenomenal. There's a remarkable program just like it in Danville, Illinois. Anyway, Tia Hyde worked miracles in this program. She was the director of it. It was her idea. We just tried to stay out of her way. And the commissioners then pledged this money to Peer Court. Well, fast forward, Peer Court gets defunded this for 26. It got defunded for the county council in 2025 for 2026. So Tia has another job in the county, and she's killing it there. So one, we went out, and if the judge is still here, I appreciate what he did, and his probation department. Everybody got together. We were able to bring in a program from Terre Haute called Teen Court, which is very successful down there. And they have partnered with us to try to pick up the slack that was left by Peer Court being defunded, going away. They're phenomenal. And right now, they don't use any of our tax dollars. They have their own grants. So this is, I mean, so far, you know, we're 10 minutes into this and we haven't used the tax dollar yet. So we've got Teen Court going now. And so we got this money. And this money can only be used for certain things. And one of the things it can be used for is recovery programs. All right. And one of the things that, how many houses do you have now?
We have 6 full Truman houses, and then we have some honor houses, if you will. We have 2 honor houses for
Right.
individuals who want to stay longer and maybe get their kids, stuff
So
like
when
that.
this started out, you had 1.
Right.
And I remembered it wasn't much of a house. And now they've got 6. And these guys, they do their own work. I mean, it's just amazing. And you've got 2 houses that they can have their kids with them in. Yeah, okay, so 8. But I want to let Tyson talk about the program and what they're doing and how hopefully we can. I'll finish saying though, RJ, you guys voted to allow Peer Court to use all of that money, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate you leading it on that. So now, hopefully, we can use some of that money to put back into Truman House because we're using it. I mean, we use it hard, and The feedback we get, we sent a guy, not very long ago. I got an email from Derek immediately after he left. He said he moved out. So he was under one of these agreements that if you move out or get kicked out, you immediately return to jail. Well, he didn't. So we'll see where that goes for him. But it's instant feedback, and they don't ask for anything, and they don't require anything. Okay, they'll just do anything we need. So, Tyson, if you would come up and say a few words.
Hi guys, I'm Tyson Carville. I'm the director of Truman House. Technically we're a 4-month program. You know, when it comes to like the courts, there has to be an end date for an individual that graduate. Most are 90 days. We chose 4 months just for a little bit longer. 90 days is not enough. 4 months is really not enough. But there has to be that end date when it comes to courts and probation and stuff like that. So we get a lot of people from Vermilion County that end up, like Bruce said, they stay 9 months, a year, a couple years, you know. And that's, you know, the longer they stay, the better results, right? And clearly the longer they stay, then when they come back to Vermilion County, you know, they're better, right? They're productive members of society. They're involved in, you know, some sort of recovery program, because there are recovery programs like meetings and stuff in Vermilion County, right? You know, so you know, the foundation of our program is the 12 steps, right? And that's it, right? That's the foundation. That's the bread and butter. You know, we give a guy coming in the door 2 weeks to find a job, 2 weeks to find a sponsor, and that's kind of the start. They're on a restriction for the first 2 weeks, means they can go, you know, they can go to court, they job search from 8 a.m. to noon, go to meetings, do service work. Other than that, they're not out running the streets. You know, there's no gray area to our rules. This is just the way that it is. You know what I mean? And you know, we got all these guys right here that hold the line. I greatly appreciate them. You know, so. Coming in the door, Bruce said, you know, you're making your bed, you're doing a chore, you're getting along with the guys that's in your house, you know, and hopefully you become part of the family of the house you live in. You know, a lot of guys show up and they don't have family, you know what I mean, and the guys in the house become family, you know. I'm just trying to think, you know, I stayed at Truman House myself for 4 years, right? I wasn't court ordered out of Vermilion County, but I was put on home detention out of Vermilion County, and the only place that I had to go stay, I might as well have just brought myself back to jail, right? No other place would take me besides the Truman House. That's when it was one house. You know, individuals from Vermilion County are the founders of the house, of the program, right? You know, and that's kind of, I mean, all of us, right? You know, so individuals are getting random urinalysis throughout the week. It's just done by random. We're a zero tolerance facility. You get test positive, you're gone, right? And when it comes to, you know, communicating with the court, you know, if we have a guy and he's kicked out, we usually have a letter into the court before they even have their stuff packed, right? Now, a lot of times we will, hey, you let us drive you back to jail. You sit in jail for a little while. If the courts will agree to it, we'll give you another chance, right? So that's how we get a lot of the guys back here, right? So they're not out running around, we get them back here. And we stick to our end, right? We usually get them back out, you know, and so, you know, sometimes it takes 2 times, you know, for guys to figure this out, you know. We do a lot of campouts, we do a lot of cookouts, we do a family day once a month, especially when it's nice weather. We'll do a cookout, we'll have all the houses get together, it's, you know, kids having fun, family, everything, you know, cooking hot dogs, hamburgers. We have a little meeting afterwards, talk about issues in the house, that type of thing. You know, I think it's pretty awesome. You know, I think it's pretty awesome. You know, it's for me, I didn't know what a healthy family was. I kind of do now, right? You know, and I think it's great. You know, I'll tell you, my grandfather came through this court, my dad came through this court, and I came through this court, right? If it weren't for a place like Truman House, I don't know where I'd be, right? But I broke the cycle because of Truman House, right? And Bruce was talking about peer court, right? My son comes in and does peer court, right? My son's not an alcoholic, he's not an addict. He just likes helping people. So, you know, it fills my heart, you know what I mean? He comes in and does that, and it's awesome, right? He's not like me, thank God, you know? You know, and just the benefits that I've received from Truman House, you know, while I was there, I mean, I got my bachelor's degree, LAC, all that stuff, criminal history expunge, all that, right? Like, you know, and it came really hard, right? So I really value it today. And, you know, I was told that I could have anything I want in life as long as I help enough people get what they want, you know, and that's my goal, right? Just helping people on a daily basis. You know, that's the complete opposite of who I was. That's the complete opposite of who we were. And that's what we get to do today, right? And that's kind of what keeps us going. Each one teach one, right? And we just keep helping the guys, right? When it comes to, we've been blessed when it comes to like our staff. We have 3 staff members per house. You know, we have a manager, assistant manager, and a guy who oversees the chores. All our managers, I would say, man, they have no less than 2 years sobriety. Really, a year is what's required. We've just been really blessed, right? And we got one guy 9 years, Phil, right? We've been really blessed. And then we have a assistant manager. Usually somebody's been through the program, been around for quite a while, sponsoring guys, stuff like that. And then we have a guy who oversees the chores, and really that's just an individual who knows that 4 months is not enough, has completed the program, and would like to work his way up to a staff member to run a house. You know what I mean? And you know, we're not one of those programs that, you know, you have a 6-month cutoff, a 1-year cutoff. You can stay as long as you want, as long as you need to, right? You know, I know for me and for a lot of guys, they get to where they're ready to move out, whether it's financially or whatever, and due to our criminal history, our credit, nobody's going to rent to us. You know what I mean? And the places they will rent to us, you know, nobody want to live in. You know what I mean? You know, so a lot of us stay longer. They'll build their credit score, go to school, and then we leave and buy a house, right? Because that's the options that we're given. They won't rent to us, but they'll sell us a house. So we have to stick around a little longer. You know what I mean? And it's great, right? You know, and we get to have our kids and grandkids and stuff like that. You know, just like a you know, a normal family would. You know, stuff that we didn't grow up with. You know, and I would say that, you know, without, number one, Vermilion County is the majority of our guys, right? If you go to any of our houses, the majority, matter of fact, the majority of our staff is Vermilion County, right? That's just the way that it is. The majority of our staff is. We've been blessed in that aspect. And a lot of guys like to stay longer before they go back to places like Universal or Cayuga or Clinton, right? Because they want to have that structure and they want to know that they're firm in their recovery before they come back, right? They don't want to have to drive to Terre Haute every day to go to a meeting. They can do it down here. They just have to, you know, be in that mind frame, and it takes a little while to get there, you know.
Tyson, can I ask you a couple questions?
You can.
Not to interject on you. So Vermilion County has a lot of people that utilize this. I'm sure the prosecutor or judge could attest to this. Would you say how many a year go down to the Truman House? You had to just guess 10?
Oh, no. I would say what, 40 or 50?
Yeah, I'd say 50 or more, honestly,
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
I know, I type the letters, so I know it's.
So
I think, RJ, at one point in time, we had a letter with, and it's way outdated. I think it had 135 on it.
Oh, wow.
128, and we haven't added a name to this in a long time.
Yeah, and like I said, just in the past, and when was that letter dated?
The date on this is wrong.
Yeah.
So the original, when I first started this letter, was 2023.
Yeah. So
okay,
hundreds.
So on that, what's the return rate like? Once someone completes the program, completes the probation or the judge ordered thing, do you have a high return rate, or is it a low return rate of somebody coming back to the program?
It's based on the individual, right? Some of the people who are on this list, it did take them twice. They didn't get it the first time. You know,
Sure.
A lot of guys don't get it the first time. You know, I know for a guy like me coming from a little rural area like this, I didn't even know recovery existed. You know what I mean? So I got introduced to it. Clearly, I didn't get sober my first time, and I didn't get sober my second time. You know what I mean? But I did. You know, later on. You know, and so it's just based off the individual, and that's the reason why staying there and staying firm in their ground for a while before they come back is huge.
Sure.
You know, if it's somebody who stays a year or more, results are great.
Absolutely. Out of the 128 names on that list, I think roughly 70 of them are still sober today.
Good.
Yeah. So,
awesome.
So, you know, the guys who stay longer, the longer they stay, the better off they are.
So what about, my next question, I've got a couple more, I apologize, Commissioners. Funding, how do you guys fund the Truman House? You've got 6 full houses and you've got 2 honor houses for families and such things. So how do you fund your program?
So we are funded by individuals paying their own way, right?
Okay.
Working, paying their own way. Doesn't always happen. You know, the majority of the guys pay their way. We're not one of the places where we've never kicked anybody out for money, is what I'm trying to say, right? You know, but we've taken plenty of guys, you know, without any money and they run up a bill and leave and that type of thing, right? It's just a chance you take, you know, but yes, so we're self-supporting.
Self-supporting, okay.
Yeah.
Well, Bruce, that kind of leads me into my next question to you is, how can the commissioners help? I know we're looking at, you know, $125,000 in one funding item and $68,000 in the next. Is this a program you think some of these opioid funding can go to?
100%. And what I will say, and maybe make everybody in the room happy, I didn't realize the agenda was going to be this big and heavy. We could get on maybe August agenda, if you could come back in August and talk like, here's what we can do. Like here's what the commissioners can do with this money. In the meantime, John can look at the restricted, unrestricted definition. I've got it, and how the opioid settlement, you know, can be used, and we can talk turkey then at the August meeting of how we can help them help us.
Well, could, between yourself, the judge, and the chief probation officer, could you guys put together a proposal for the commissioners on the opioid funding, on what you guys, whether it's just the Truman House, or whether it's other ideas and programs? Because, I mean, that is a lot of money sitting there. Now, granted, I think once it's gone, right, that settlement money?
I think some comes in every year for a while, but I don't know how much that is.
Sure. I think we'd entertain looking at the proposal.
This, I think, is in the bank now.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say if you can get us a proposal, maybe a couple of weeks before the meeting, gives us time to review it. And then if we got questions for you, the judge, or even the Truman House, or whoever you may, you know.
Right. I applaud you guys for coming in here, standing on your own two feet. And seeking opportunities to make things better for other people. However, what do we do for the female addicts in this county? Men, you know, you guys are just men. Where do we go with female addicts?
Right. Yeah. There are programs. Next Step has one. There's a terrific place in Indianapolis called the Dove House. We've sent people there. So, you know, my thought is, if word can get out to some of those treatment places, and they can come in August. I think you're looking at the most unselfish group of people, almost to a fault. They'd be like, no, they could probably use the money more than we could. You know what I mean? Like, getting him to come up here was a chore. You know what I mean? So there are houses that take men and women, and I think they should come in and talk to you.
Sure. Well, Bruce, could you put together a proposal then for something for, you know, for the men and the female, maybe email that to the commissioners, between you, the judge, and the chief probation officer? Since we've got this money sitting here, and if we can do some good with it, I think the commissioners would entertain looking at something like that.
It's really hard for men to open up a women's program. You know what I mean? It is. Whether it was ethical and everything was going the way that it's supposed to go and all that.
All right, it should be.
You know, it's really hard. So, you know.
I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy.
Yeah, so that's why we just do men.
Sure.
You know, short answer on that.
Yeah. We appreciate you guys coming out.
I would say the vast majority of drug cases we have are male.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly
and
the
the interesting
majority.
thing was, Bill, the question that you asked, Cargill, was the very question that I asked Kinderman before he came in. And I guess I should come up with the mic real quick. Chris Reed, Circuit Court Judge. The very question you asked was one I asked Derek before we walked in, and we're working on that. Derek mentioned a place in Sullivan called Ruth
House. They're one house and they've only got like 6 beds. So I mean they're limited.
But the thing is you are correct. It's just difficult. There was a program for women only in Clinton that was there on Vine Street, and it was here 1 month, and the next month it was gone. Why, I don't know, but it just seems like that is very difficult. But no, that's a question that is, how can we help women as well? I believe that more men come through the courtroom than women with that, but you're 100% correct, is how can we help women as well?
And I gave out a number, to the Truman House. I'll give out my office number, 765-492-5370. If you run a women's program, we want to talk to you. The court wants to talk to you.
Awesome. All right, Bruce, anything else?
No.
Commissioners,
Anything
any
else?
questions, comments?
Derek,
No?
anything?
Nope. Good.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you guys. Yeah, thank you for coming. Bruce, we'll see that proposal before the next meeting. Okay, thank you.
Kick one and back on.
All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda. Lane Ashton and Elizabeth, NG North America.
Commissioners, thanks for having me. I was here last month on the 15th, a short while ago, but I'm going to keep it short. I appreciate the fact that the text amendment was not approved. I can tell you a few reasons of that, but I'm going to keep it short because those guys have come better than any of us have done today. So I just want to.
Lane, you'll give me a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hey guys, if we get quiet down in the gallery so we can hear our next item on the agenda.
Come on, Bill, let's go. We got to
Lane will give me a second.
No, you're good. I just don't want to get in trouble.
He's waiting for somebody to go out. There we go. All right, Lane, the floor is yours.
You bet, thank you. I had, just since it's quiet and you can hear me, Lane Ashton with NG North America. I'm the project director and senior development advisor with NG North America. NG North America is well, it's, I'm going to look at my talking points here. I know who
There we go.
But we're a global economy developer, we are a global energy developer with experience developing clean energy projects here in Indiana. We have multiple projects going on. I personally had another project in Posey County, similar to a project that I'll tell you about, the 250 megawatt project in Posey County, and the county commissioners implemented a solar ordinance that took our project from being 250 megawatts to 94 megawatts, so it didn't pencil. So we wasn't able to pursue that project. That was just enabled that happened. But appreciate the fact that you took the time and just really appreciate it. I want to just tell you a few things. Just quite touched about those fellows, so in just a moment. For those of you who are in the room who don't know NG North America, we have two projects that we're proposing, that we're working on for here in Vermilion County. One is a solar project, 250 megawatts. With the land that we have, or the landowners that we have signed up are on the northern portion of the county. And by the way, Commissioner Donovan, I appreciate the fact that it was noted that NG has, on the 15th of June, it was stated that NG had not recorded any of its land agreements or lease agreements, and we have. So that was corrected today, and I appreciate it. But so the two projects that we have, again, is a solar project and a battery storage project. Battery storage project would be a lithium-ion battery storage project. 70% of all battery storage projects here in the United States are used with lithium-ion. And in full transparency, just so everybody knows, my colleague here, Pat, with FRA, Fire Risk Association, he is here. I brought Pat in to talk about safety of lithium-ion batteries. But that's not necessary now. what I can tell you is, should NG move forward with that project, NG would bring in a consultant. You know, we would pay for a consultant to come in, whether it be FRA or another qualified consultant, to provide training. And we provide training, refresher training every year. We're willing to commit to that as part of our permit application. I also want to make you aware that we project, this is an early stage project, or these projects are early stage, and just the solar project alone, we're calculating, we had a third party prepare a tax benefit analysis for the county, and with NG's $450 million project investment in Vermilion County, over the course of 35 years, NG would pay $85.3 million roughly. Now those are estimated numbers. I was questioned about those figures. No, it'll go down. That $85.3 million is based upon today. So if something changes down the road, laws are passed, that'll change. But what NG is guaranteeing is that we will not ask for a full depreciation on the project. So when I tell you that $85 million is projected, what we project for the county to receive, it's $85 million. It's not $85 million and then take away something. I also want to let you folks know, and commissioners know, NG is more than willing to enter into an economic development agreement with you folks. You know, that's free money in addition to any taxes. You don't have to wait for 35 years if this any money that we agree to, commissioners and NG agree to. So economic development training for the fire departments. We had a fellow here on the 15th, one of the volunteer firefighters. I regret I can't remember his name, but he just flat out said, we don't know what to do. We will provide that training, and again, I commit and put it, you know, in what we agreed to in the order in our permit, that we will provide annual refresher training. If equipment is needed, we can talk about that, but I think that would be an easy conversation to have. Pardon me. I do want the commissioners to know, because again, I came here, I might as well take just a couple minutes because I flew from Boise to be here, left my dog at home and my wife with the grandkids. But anyway, the concern that we have, that NG has, or had, with the text amendment was, although, you know, we're told, and I'm taking it at face value, but the county officials had said, okay, this is going to be temporary. It's going to be temporary, but that's uncertainty for NG. You know, I'm within 3 to 4 months of submitting a permit, and you know, I've got to make commitments to PJM. We're not going on the MISO transmission lines for PJM, and we just received our queue positions with PJM in April, and we have substantial money, millions of dollars that we have to post security for before the Vermilion Rise and before Roulette Creek would be completed 2 years down the road. That's uncertainty that our investors are willing to accept. And again, unfortunately, a project down in Posey County, our investors said no, 94 megawatts won't work. And that's not, I'm not suggesting that all y'all were suggesting something similar to that. But NG is committed to the communities that we have projects in.
How committed are you to the community? Not just the landowner you're leasing the ground off of. How are you committed to the people in the neighborhood?
With some, you know, it's going to vary by county and by project. We have entered into good neighbor agreements. We worked with neighbors to increase setbacks from their property, non-participating landowners. I think I just said that, economic development agreements. We guarantee payments at NTP, notice to proceed, and then at COD. Elizabeth could tell you, you know what, I'm gonna let Elizabeth just tell a couple of things, and then we can, I think, like I say, those fellows deserve a lot more attention than I do. So, I
You're here to
appreciate.
talk, and I'm here to put you on the spot.
No, okay, well, let me tell you one more thing then. Another concern that we had, very significant concern, and it was not just with Engie, it wasn't Engie's concern, but I spoke with several other developers, solar developers that are looking at projects here in the county, and, you know, the concern was, we've been told that the PUD process would be available to us before the Vermilion Rise and Burlett's Creek projects were completed. But that would go, if the commission, APC, and then you folks in the commission were to do that, it would be 100% contrary to the notification that you received from the APC back on May 27th. That notification said the main intent of the text agreement or text amendment was to prohibit, to halt. Halt is the actual word, was to halt solar projects until after the Vermilion Rise and Burlett's Creek. Now, I'm taking it face value. It is an option, and I was told, golly, Penny told us, I spoke with you directly. Yeah, we could get, it is a path, but really, would it have been, and I'm not asking you to answer, would have been really viable when the text amendment says no solar projects? It doesn't say no solar projects, but you can do a PUD. The uncertainty was the concern. So my colleague here, Elizabeth Bennett, she can share just a couple of, or a few of the benefits that we bring to a community, in addition to the taxes. But like I say, $85.3 million is a good amount.
Thank you. Good evening, Commissioners. Elizabeth Bennett. So I've been working in the energy industry for about 20 years. 18 of those I was with Duke Energy. I've worked on, you know, everything from nuclear to hydro to coal and gas and now renewables. Most of my career has been focused on renewables, but in all of those, with all these different technologies, I've been working with communities like yourselves. And the common thread of those communities and my approach has always been, as what my former mentor used to say, we need to earn the right to work in that community. And I believe that wholeheartedly. And so when I joined Engie a year and a half ago to help with their community relations activities, I was, you know, I was very critical of ensuring that Engie was going to walk the walk and talk the talk, not just talk the talk, but walk the walk, excuse me. And I joined the company because they really are the kind of company that will do that. We are not what we call a solar flipper. We're not going to come in and buy a project and sell it and abandon the area. We're a long-term owner and operator. Commissioner Peoples, you had asked about neighbors and what Engie has done historically with neighbors. Lane mentioned some of those, but that also includes incorporating ideas that the neighbors might have about mitigation for view shed is often a concern. You know, so screening, vegetative planting. The other piece is Engie has a really long track record, strong track record of working collaboratively with the community on what matters to them. And as Lane said, every county is different. I understand that there's a priority around schools and youth programs, and Engie has a strong track record of supporting those types of programs. Libraries, fire departments, I mean, we've provided funding for new fire trucks, for example, for counties. And so we would just like the opportunity to have that chance here. And so tonight, you know, prior to the text amendment being changed a little bit here, we really were coming here to say, we just wanted to have that opportunity, and we appreciate the opportunity to speak here tonight. We are, as Lane noted, we're in the early stages of development, so normally it's around this time that we would start engaging. We engaged a little preemptively because of the UDO and the text amendment proposal, so we really look forward to the opportunity to meet with you all, to speak with constituents, to host education sessions. Commissioner Donovan, you asked about fire safety training with solar. We work with entities that do that. The Fire Risk Alliance certainly could do that as well. We work with organizations like Center for Energy Education that works across the state of Indiana. We work closely with Purdue. They have a really strong renewables program there. They have an RSTEP program that is funded by RSTEP, but it's a bus tour that takes folks to different solar farms in the state. So anyway, there's a lot we can do, and just really appreciate the opportunity and look forward to answering questions. Just outside, I heard a lot of chatter about where does the energy go when it's produced on the grid, and just kind of misperceptions about, oh, we're gonna send the energy off to Illinois. And I can say, having worked in this industry and at a utility for almost 20 years, that electrons are going to flow to the greatest need, and those are the kinds of conversations we want to be able to have and to address some of those questions that are valid questions. And then I would just lastly, over the last 10 years working in this space, conversations are a lot more in-depth and a lot more sophisticated, and as they should be. I mean, every company, in my opinion, really needs to, like I said, earn the right to work in that county, and we want to have a chance to do that and address the questions that seem to be coming up from other projects. But again, we don't have an application before you yet, so we can't really get into that tonight, but just want you to know that we are committed to working with community, listening to neighbor questions, concerns, incorporating feedback to make folks feel like they're heard, and that we are really conscientious and thoughtful about how we're designing the project. So.
Well, I've got some feedback for you, and this is just the way that I see things. That map, I've seen that map about a year ago, and I saw NG's name on it. This is the first time I spoke to anybody from NG about wanting to do a project in Vermillion County. So that, in my opinion, is something that needs to be changed. You want support from the executive body to do things, and we definitely want development in the county, and please don't take that wrong, but you gotta talk to people before you just got this multi-million dollar plan already in action, and oh, shame, now we're gonna lose out on this much money. We're gonna get to a point where we say we don't care. It's your money. You wasted it. You didn't come to us first. So
to piggyback on Bill on that, yeah, I've got several notes wrote down here, Elizabeth, so I hope you don't mind. We received an email today from Lane, stating that there was a misstatement made last meeting, which was corrected, by the area plan director in tonight's meeting. And in this email, I have records showing that recorded leases go back to 2022. So we're looking at 4 years. And to Bill's point, the only time I had met anybody from NG was in my last meeting, and I received a phone call from Mr. Ashton. And basically, the only reason I received a phone call was because of the possibility of a text amendment. Now, Apex Solar has set the bar, in my opinion, very high for Vermillion County. They came back here in 2020 or 2021. I mean, they established a community fund in 2024. They held public hearings. I mean, they've done a lot. I listened to your speech here that you were brought on a year and a half ago. You've been 30 years with the energy, which is great and fantastic. But my question is, how can I trust NG to be a good community partner when you've been recording leases for 4 years and have not spoken to any county executive, no county council member, nobody? And you're telling me you've been with the company a year and a half, and I still haven't heard anything from you until tonight. I mean, Lane, literally the only thing we have heard was that you were objecting to the text amendment, which is great, but the only ones, on this map that I think you guys are talking to are the landowners. So help us understand how you will be a good community partner like Apex Solar as an example. I mean, their community fund is given, I'm going to paraphrase here, $100,000 to, local units of government. So I struggle a lot with you telling me at the podium you're here to walk the walk, talk the talk, but yet every data that I have before me tonight shows me different. So that's my concerns, and I'd welcome any feedback that you have on why it took you a year and a half to come to the commissioners meeting to let us know you're here.
I appreciate that. I understand. I'll first say that we do need to be doing a better job, and we need to be doing it earlier. When I say a better job, I don't mean that we don't have a strong track record of supporting the community. There is a balance on when we start engagement. And what we don't want to do is start so early before we're sure we've got enough land, acquired that there's an actual project on the other end of that, and get the county excited about something that may or may not materialize. And so then, because then that starts to impact reputation and credibility, and then I've lost trust, or we've lost trust. And so I've seen that happen before, and we certainly don't want to do that. We want to be thoughtful. I can't speak to all of the leases and how the timing of when those were signed and the methodology from, before I was at NG, but I do know that there is that balance we always have to strike, is like ensuring that, again, that there's enough interested landowners who want to lease their land to us before we start saying to you all or others, like, hey, we're interested in developing a project.
Sure. Well, Mr. Ashton stated earlier in his notes that he is 3 to 4 months away from a permit. So 3 to 4 months to me seems like you've either acquired.
Commit to $2 million for that.
I mean,
have less than, and he hasn't even talked.
So to me, if you're 3 to 4 months away from a permit, to me, you've acquired all your land. Now, I could be mistaken. You may not have acquired all your land. I do know 2 landowners specifically that I spoke to directly. Their leases are not recorded in the county. Why?
They're not NG leases.
Well,
they are not NG leases.
Well, okay. Well, I will get a copy of who they're getting money from, but I am almost certain it is with NG. But I will check on that for you. But my question is, 3 to 4 months from a permit application, do you have all your land acquired for your 250 megawatt project?
Really close.
Okay. So again, I guess my back thing would be Apex had spent 4 years, here in the community, and you guys are talking about getting ready for the community 3 months before you apply for a project. I mean, that to me doesn't show good faith in being a good community partner with the county, the residents, or the elected officials for that matter.
Commissioner, just going to say what's in my heart. My grandfather told me to be the person who I outwardly present myself to be. What you see is what you get, plain Ashton. I can tell you all day long, I'm honest, have integrity. I know that's true, and those who know me, that's true. You don't yet. But I can't do anything about the past. I started with NG in 2022. But I can tell you, and I picked up this project in January of this year, was when I was assigned the project. But I make no excuses for anything that, those who came before me did.
Sure.
But I can tell you, and I'm looking each of you in my mom told me not to point. I'm looking each of you in the eye, and I'm telling you, what you see is what you get when it comes to Lane Ashton, and what you see is what you get with NG. I can't correct issues from the past.
Sure.
I can't.
Yeah.
But I will communicate with you regularly. You tell me how often you want me to communicate. You want me to call you every day? I know you don't.
I don't
know
know
that my wife doesn't want me to call every day.
I don't know that we need that, but I think, Bill started, and I think Bill, said it best, is that, we have other development that's called us a year ago and told us, hey, we're thinking about you, and then we never hear from them again because their project died. But it seems like your project has been gaining steam, and the county's being left out, but we're being told tonight, hey, we're a good community partner, we're here for you.
Yeah.
Like, I would encourage you to, talk to the Apex folks, because again, I think their bar has been set very high for the county. I mean, they sat down and held meetings in St. Bernice where, I'm not sure a whole lot of people in the room was happy with their project, but they did it. They sat down there and they went through that. So yeah, I think the commissioner.
They sat in this room and went through several meetings.
I think they've been having community grants for a long time.
Yeah, but I would encourage you to reach out to them, because that community grant is funded South Vermillion projects at schools, North Vermillion schools, Dana fire departments. I mean, and again, you guys may be doing projects longer. Yeah, I would strongly encourage you to take the path that Apex did with the community.
I accept your challenge, your request. So I do appreciate it.
Yep, thank you.
So thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, thank you guys. All right, moving on. Nolan, still here. I seen you here from the beginning. I'm almost out of paper from all my notes.
I want to start by saying I come in peace. some of the criticism that I've received from multiple people. It's valid. So I just want to make sure that, you know, you're aware. I do accept that. Okay, so I want to thank you, President Donovan, Commissioner Hess, Commissioner Peebles, and everyone here tonight. I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and I want to start by thanking all of you who have shown up, not just tonight, but consistently because of how deeply you care about this county. I want to say that I'm not coming to these because I'm anti-progress. None of these people are. We're here because we love this county, our farms, our quiet nights, our clean water, and the future we want to leave for our children and grandchildren. We recognize that economic development is necessary. It's desperately needed, in fact, in Vermilion County. It's a good thing, but only when it's done the right way. It's no secret what my personal position is on a data center development. I don't want one to be built in Vermilion County. But over the past several months, I've come before you and the RISE board and the county council asking for something very simple, which is just an on-the-record support for strong written enforceable protections in the UDO. And that's before any major AI supporting industry or really any industrial project would move forward. Mr. Donovan, I do want to thank you for your voiced commitment to that. That's not gone unnoticed. So, you know, myself, as well as quite a few other people, have proposed what I believe to be reasonable common sense standards. Waterless cooling, self-generated power, strict noise limits using acoustic barriers and enclosures, low noise cooling fans, generous setbacks from homes and the bat habitat, road repair bonds paid for by the developer, full decommissioning guarantees, shielded red spectrum exterior lighting directed downward, only what's required for safe operations and security, to protect the Indiana bat and preserve the night sky, limitations on air pollution and on impervious surfaces to protect our farmland, drainage. And those are not radical ideas. Those are the kinds of protections that other Indiana counties have used successfully and have been used successfully across the country. A facility built to those standards could be a responsible neighbor. And without those standards in place, we risk repeating the problems other communities have faced. Strained infrastructure, noise carrying for miles, heavy truck traffic, damaging roads, long-term environmental costs which are shifted onto the taxpayer. At the risk of sounding overly pessimistic, there is a very clear pattern of these companies, AI operators, being extremely bad neighbors without these protections in place. I've heard it said, you know, for every bad thing you read about them, you read a good thing about them. I don't think that's the most fair characterization, because bad and good, that assumes that the good thing you're reading about them is equal to the bad thing you're reading about them. So the only point that I'm making is there is a pattern of them not always being great neighbors to the community. I think that's a pretty fair statement. This next section I do want to preface. I know you're under no obligation to answer this question right now. It's not a gotcha question. I just would like you to ruminate on it, or if you feel like you can answer it, I'd appreciate it. Commissioner Hess, I just want you to, if you can, at some point, clarify your response from last week. It was unclear to myself and also a handful of other people that were in attendance, if you would support proactively including those protective measures in the UDO before the project would advance. You don't need to answer that now, I've got more. And Commissioner Peebles, this is the first time I've actually gotten to talk to you face to face about it, but I would like to ask you that same question. And I would also like to ask sort of both of you, Commissioner Donovan has held, open public meetings to hear directly from citizens and constituents, and I'd like to know if you would also be willing to committing to doing the same.
I was there.
No, I know you were there. No, and I appreciate that. Yeah. But every resident throughout the entire county would be affected by that. And, just to maximize the opportunity for people in other communities that maybe aren't that close or aren't on Facebook. There's a lot of people that aren't on the internet at all. But to give them the opportunity to know about it and to make sure that you know their feelings out of, concerns. Now my personal position is pretty steadfast. I don't believe an AI data center would benefit this community. I would rather see some kind of industrial diversification, but I'm just one person. If we are going to bring in a data center, we do have a chance to do it correctly. We can show the state of Indiana that Vermilion County is open for responsible business, and not at the expense of our health, our water, our roads, our way of life. We can protect what makes this place special while still pursuing smart economic opportunities. We could become the gold standard, an example for other communities to follow, rather than a cautionary tale, which we have seen, close by. So the people in this room tonight aren't anti-progress, obstructionists. We're parents, we're farmers, veterans, business owners, and neighbors. We want to be heard and protected just like anyone else. We're willing to work with you, with anyone, on balanced development. We don't want rushed decisions that would bypass our planning process or put corporate interests ahead of our community. We've faced challenges in this county before, and we've come through them stronger because we've always looked out for one another. We have an opportunity to do that again. We're not asking for something impossible. We're asking for responsible leadership, putting Vermilion County families, farmers, and future generations first. We're asking you to continue to lead with courage, transparency, and care. The Navy, I don't know if they said that you were in the Army, but we had honor, courage, commitment. It's not always easy, but we need to show the rest of Indiana what this kind of leadership looks like, because we are seeing sort of cascading failure, not just in Indiana, but throughout the country, where not all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and it's gone very badly for some counties. We have an opportunity. We can be better than that at Vermilion County. I would like to see development that would protect our water, our land, our roads, and our way of life. I don't want to see any kind of development that would sacrifice them. I believe we can build a future that we're all going to be proud of, that we can hand down to our children. And I believe the people of Vermilion County are ready to stand with leaders who will stand with us. And I'd like to choose the right path forward. So that's all I have to say. Again, I know that you're under no obligation to answer that right now. I'm not trying to put anyone on the spot. I'd just like you to think about it.
I want to answer.
Yes.
I can sit on my front porch and I can see the ammunition plant, and the old ammunition, the rise fence from my front porch.
Yes.
I don't want anything damaging there that's going to damage the environment or take away from Vermilion County's pristine beauty.
No, I understand that.
But what I want to do is I want to see how far the process can go besides just the data center. What can that data center provide for the next generation in Vermilion County, whether it be those 400 or 500 jobs inside the five in brand new facilities, because there's no facilities in there that have to be built brand new. Good paying jobs where our children, our grandchildren can stay in this county, stay here. I just had my son just told me last week he's moving to North Carolina for a job opportunity.
Yep.
That's 10 hours away. My two grandkids will be 10 hours away.
Yeah. Sure.
So.
No, and I absolutely understand. I'm younger than you, but I've got, my oldest is 21 years old, is talking about moving to California because there's not anything here, and that hurts. But I can't argue with them, of course. Yeah, you've got to go where there's work. But I would say, I would say that having these protections in place proactively, that just makes sure that we have control, right? So there are two sides of the issue. There are people that believe what they're reading online and what they're seeing in the news and what the sort of the prevailing, like, this is a nightmare narrative is. I'm one of those people. And then there's people who are very skeptical of that. What I'm recommending is simply a compromise, right? If you don't believe that they're doing those things, and I'm not saying you do, but hypothetically, if you're a person who doesn't believe that those problems are really an issue, it should not matter to put those protections in the UDO one way or another to you, but it would alleviate the very real concerns for the people who really do believe that. I think it is a matter of maintaining control in this county. There is a bill at the State House that would take away our control for that. If we can get ahead of that,
Amen.
that's protecting our county. No matter where you stand on the issue, that's protecting our county. So I've come out here, and if you'd like, I've written 2 booklets, well, compiled more like, but I've 2 booklets. One that very plainly states why I think that a data center is a very bad idea, and another one which you might be more interested to read is just sort of the compromise. What could we put in a UDO? What protections are out there? What is like the state-of-the-art standard as of right now? They might be, I wrote this like 3 weeks ago, it might already be obsolete, but you know, just if nothing else, it's a framework. But I really do feel, and the people who have continued to show up to these things really feel that this is a serious priority. This weighs heavily in our minds and our hearts. This keeps us up nights. Believe it or not, Aini was here a year and a half ago. I couldn't walk into a public space. I received help from her to be able to do this. I care that much, and I take medicine for agoraphobia. I don't like leaving my house. I am always at these meetings. Whenever I can be, I'm at these meetings. It's difficult for me to stand up in front of people and speak. You know, I wouldn't be here if I didn't believe with all of my heart that this is necessary for this community. I want to grow old here. I want to pass my land on to my children. It's been in my wife's family since before the Civil War. You know, that means a lot to me. And so, and I'm not a unique story either. A lot of the people in this room, that's how they feel. We understand that progress can't stop. We understand, you know, you can't put it back in the box. But what we don't understand is sort of the resistance we get to just what we feel are very simple, like a very basic request, which is protect us. Make sure we protect us. Make sure that they're going to be good neighbors, because they have shown, I think repeatedly, you know, I mean, we've seen this. This isn't new. If a giant corporate entity could keep their profit margin an iota higher, they'll cut that corner, you know, and we've seen them do it. You know, the people in the news stories whose wells have dried up, these are real people, and their lives have been ruined. And Facebook didn't, you know, Meta didn't pay for it. Meta didn't compensate them in any way. People, you know, and that really, you know, I know that's one person or one household, but that's enough for me. Maybe I'm sentimental, but that's enough for me to say we need to make sure they don't do that to one person in Vermilion County. You know, whether you live right on the fence line or you live, you know, 10 miles away, it's going to affect you in some way if protections aren't put in place. I think that's at a minimum, like that's my compromise, is let's just make sure that if they do come here, we make them be good neighbors. And I do think that that's a warranted request. I really sincerely do. You know, and I'd be happy to provide all of my research to you if you'd like to review it. I didn't print off another one. I had one for you at the last meeting, but you were not there. You were at a wedding. But you know, I'll give you one. I'll email it to you, whatever you want, for you to review. But I just would really like that to be, I'd like us to take a more proactive approach and get this taken care of before the state of Indiana decides we don't get to do that. I think a lot of people in this room would be very upset, and some people would leave if we do not take action. So that's all I have to say. I wasn't trying to keep anybody, and again, I apologize. I realize that I've come off as trying to like put people on the spot. I'm learning about this process. I'm not trying. It's not a gotcha question. I promise. That's why I keep it broad. And I just say protections. That's just to alleviate people's concerns, and we do want to see action and progress. And I mean, do we agree with that?
Thank you, Nolan. Whatever information you have, research, if you could, you can email it to the auditor's office and he'll get that out to all three commissioners for review, and then we can.
I think I did hand both of you.
Yeah, I've got a paper copy. Yeah, if you want to do an email, that way we can go through it, I can mark it up. And then, commissioners, at our next meeting, we can discuss ideas on protections or regulations potentially to the UDO. All right.
Is the APC willing to take up a UDO or?
Well, I think that's a question, you know, I think Penny's gone, but I think that's something we can talk to the APC director about and see, because, you know, they worked, well, on the UDO, they worked, you know, over a year on it. And, you know, that memo they sent out said that it's not, you know, addressed in the UDO, so it probably is something they do need to address. And that would be a very public process for them to do that. So that's something we probably need to talk about with the APC director. All right, moving on. Thrive West Central budget request. You guys have that in your email.
Mr. You asked a question on that. It's up about 12,000.
It's what?
It's up about 12,000.
Okay.
But we went ahead and submitted the full amount to the council and our commissioner's budget. That way they'll work
Thanks
with
everybody
us.
for coming.
Yeah, thank you. That way they can discuss among themselves if they can reduce the 89,000 down. But Christine's also here for owner occupied tonight.
Yes, I'm here for owner occupied.
Yeah, owner occupied.
Yes.
I didn't get that. I didn't get that.
Squeezing me.
Yeah. I had that written somewhere on here. I'm gonna go back through my 8 pages of notes that I have. So that was for owner occupied.
Yes, so we're trying to get that, this great program, we're trying to get it launched and moving. And to do that, we needed to select,
Give me 1 second. Would anybody at the back be willing to shut that door on your way out if you're leaving, Nancy? Thank you.
oh, thank you.
Appreciate it.
So I think we'll just get ready and moving and get these people some assistance and let's get their houses rehabbed, right?
Sure.
So the first thing we needed to do was get inspectors and radon testers. So we went ahead and did that process and started it and got it set up. Tonight I provided you with a recommendation on the quotes that we received. We received 4 quotes. Do you need another copy?
You might give the commissioner, because all we have is in the email, and I don't
Oh,
think,
you didn't.
I'm not sure that's in there. Bill, is it in there? Oh, it is? Okay. I apologize. I guess it
You're
is
good.
in there.
You're good. If you need one, let me know.
No, I've got
All
one.
right.
I didn't know if it made it to the pack or not, because it was kind of late, so I wasn't sure.
Like I said, I knew it was short notice, but I felt we needed to get this going. Fine, Christie. You got
Yep,
it?
we got it.
Great. So previously I sent you an update. You guys can look at that. If you have any questions, let me know. So tonight I wanted to talk about your radon inspection testers. As I was saying, you have 4 quotes came in. I gave you a summary of what they were, who they are, and due to the state prefers to use the lowest unless you can justify using the second lowest. Unfortunately, the gentleman that was the second lowest, it would be a little difficult to justify that big difference. even though he does have the experience with our previous, Montgomery County.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you guys are recommending first home inspections
Yes,
out of Terre Haute?
correct.
Okay.
And we're, this gentleman does both, so that's all, very nice. They go in, it's at the same time, they drop down the radon test, and then they'll pick it up next day. So I'm usually one person, I'm not having to hunt down two.
Okay. Commissioners, any questions on the recommendation for first home inspections for the owner occupied grant as presented tonight?
No.
Misty? All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve the request to use first home inspections as provided by Thrive this evening.
I'll make that motion.
A motion by Mr. Peebles, do I have a second? Second by Ms. Hess. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. We'll get that signed. You want to sign it now so you can get out of here?
Sure. I'll take, there you go.
So we don't want to sign it or
Just
RJ.
okay.
Just me.
Yep, and then, I just wanted to also take this opportunity. Is this process you would like to do when we are starting bids? So what we, typically do is we can have the bids sent to you guys. You can open them, I can come back with recommendations, or we want them open then. Obviously, we open them in a public meeting, but then hand them off to Thrive, we can do recommendations. Do you want those recommendations to come back the following month, or do we want to set up something else that can make it a little faster?
Since we only meet once a month, I'd like to get it done as quickly as possible.
expedition is,
No.
What would you recommend? I mean,
We can do that, legal's probably gonna have to provide the guidance, because you have to protect it. So, we would open the quotes in, your meeting. I would usually get a copy at the same time, so I'm seeing it at the same time. I can form a recommendation.
so they're not bids, right? They're just quotes?
They would be quotes.
So John,
We would consider them quotes.
so you wouldn't have to necessarily open them in a public meeting, would you, for quotes? Since you're receiving,
I think they're still public records as
Yeah.
they come in.
Sure.
So I think they would be opened and become part of the record to be stored in the auditor's office.
Okay.
I want to look at them.
Right.
So yes, I think we would.
Okay.
I'll double check the
Probably just-
statutes.
the extra tie to that is that grant money that.
oh, yeah. I was just thinking if we open them, you're gonna table them, and then you're gonna review them, or you want us to take action on them that night?
That's a good question, okay?
You
Because
can take them and review them.
Right.
And that's
Yeah,
all.
and I also get a copy of them also. So they're sent to the county, and I get a copy just to make sure that we've got open communication with the contractors. 'Cause
Sure.
sometimes they don't send them to you, and they call me and get upset, so we
Yeah.
just do that.
Well, I'm just thinking as a process, like next month, say you brought in 2 houses to be ready to go, or, quotes for 2 properties. We open them at the August meeting, we take them under advisement, and we're in theory not meeting until September.
Right.
So,
Or you have a special meeting.
so what do we have to approve the recommendation in a public meeting then, if they?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the question. Yeah.
Here's mine, I got a question.
Go ahead.
So we get our stack of quotes here.
Mhm.
You've got your stack over there.
Mhm.
And you open that quote before we open them in public and have the recommendation already? Legally, can you do that?
That would be a
Well,
legal.
the final decision has to be made by the public. So
Correct.
anything that would need to be prepared associated with that would have to by necessity come afterwards. That's what I said, the easiest thing would probably be to review it and then have a special meeting just for that.
I'm saying, yeah, I'm kind of on Bill's standpoint here. So like, if we get 3 quotes for House A, and they're sent to Thrive, can they open those quotes and review them, and then provide a recommendation to us at the meeting?
The quotes would need to be open in public.
Okay, so yeah, they're not gonna have any chance to review them until the meeting.
Then Thrive could take them under advisement, but we'd want to keep copies here so if a member of the public.
So
wants to attend.
essentially, come August meeting, if we want to approve them, if they review them in 2 days and they've got a recommendation, we would have to call a special meeting, 48-hour notice, and only 2 of us would have to show up for a quorum to approve the recommendation. So I guess we could do that. I mean, I guess that's probably the only way to do. Well, what did Montgomery County do?
Montgomery County met twice a month.
I guess that always solves that.
So it
Between
was a little,
executive sessions, we meet more than twice a month usually, so.
Yeah, I think just get them to us at our August meeting, and then we'll take them under advisement, give them to you for recommendations, and then when you guys feel confident in a recommendation, the board will call a special meeting to get them approved, because it'll be a quick 5-minute, you know, a
yeah,
5-minute meeting.
yeah, because you've already taken them, you've seen them. I'm just, pretty much what you saw tonight is what you would get.
So I do have a question, just an update. How many houses or properties, landowners are in the queue? They've got everything ready for you, and they're ready for these inspectors to get out.
Okay, so currently I finished today. We have 9 properties that are ready for the next step, which would be inspection.
Nice.
Okay. Along with the inspection would be the radon testing as well as environmental review. They will receive a packet that outlines everything that's going on, tells them about radon, and also has an agreement in there that says all the wonderful things that they're responsible for. So basically, if they have a tree hanging over the roof, they would have to cut that, those types of things.
Sure. So the thing we approved tonight, you'll be able to send them to those 9 homes
This
now?
gentleman, yes, and once they get the packet, and I get them to figure out when they're available for this guy, the inspector comes back, I'll get the report. Once the report is back is when we will send out notification. But first set, we will have to have a pre-bid meeting.
Okay.
So we'll have a big public meeting with inviting all the contractors that are on the list, and then so forth.
Sure.
Once we get that, at that same time is when we'll release the first set of quotes.
Sure.
Which could be up for the 9.
Okay.
So how many people have applied?
How many at this point? 21.
21.
Just to refresh my memory.
Yeah.
Clinton City put in some money on this, the county put in some money on this, and the Rise put in some money on this, right?
No, that's the housing. No, that's
This
the
is
housing. That's the housing study.
Okay.
That was the housing study. This
This-
is all
Yeah, it's
occupied. This is the funding you guys received from Oprah.
Right, and this is open to any residents, owner occupied residents in the county. It's not city limits, doesn't shut
Correct.
things down,
Right.
okay.
Correct.
So
And we
they're
are monitoring to make sure that, the majority, we try to keep 50-50. So 50% might be in the city, but we do really stress and try to get everybody.
So redevelopment commission put up the
Yeah.
funding for this. So yeah, the redevelopment
Correct.
commission was a good partner, or a great partner in this.
John, should we have a copy of everybody that's applied in the auditor's office?
What?
A copy of everybody that has applied?
Yeah.
Because we don't have any,
You want a copy of that? That's
Pretty similar to what we do with most
fine.
grants, is we
Yeah.
have a little expando with everything related to that grant, so
Sure.
Mhm.
State Board of Accounts, for
Right.
example, would want to review it.
they're gonna wanna look it over.
And the question I have is, do you want everybody that's applied, or everybody that's pending, or those that have been eligible? And I've got this moving
So
list.
we need it all.
I would say,
I just say any
copies,
Yes.
You never know when an audit is gonna happen, so he's gonna say, I wanna see this.
Yeah.
How often would you like that done?
I would just send it to
Soon-
the auditor
soon as you
whenever
get it.
at your leisure. I mean, just when you get them in, or if you want to wait a month and, send a month to them.
Sure.
But I think the Board of Commissioners here are willing to expedite any process, with this program.
Okay.
So whatever you need from us, just email us,
Yeah.
email the auditor, and
Get some
we'll
new windows before winter.
get some new windows
Yeah,
for
I'd
winter.
like,
and
I'd like to, so my intent is to have the pre-bid meeting in August, which means we'll request the bids, you probably to you guys in September 1st.
Sure. Yeah, and if you just send all that to the auditor and the first deputy, and I mean, you can send all the commissioners, that way we all get it, and make sure nobody misses a step somewhere.
Sure, and then I'll continue doing the updates in between.
Okay, is there anything you need from us? Like, I know I called, your counterpart, I can't think of her name now, Karen, and, there was some landowners, not landowners, people that applied that were worried that they messed something up.
Yeah.
Is there something the commissioners can do? If there's a list, if people haven't maybe, followed up or gotten contact, can we help mitigate any of that from Thrive's perspective? To say, hey, hurry, you need to get your stuff applied, to follow up with some of these landowners?
I do have, a list here that are on hold, but, I've sent them an email. Now it's time for me to send the second email.
Sure.
So I do try 2 or 3 attempts, and if they don't, I
Kind of move on.
I keep moving on.
No, I'm
not gonna stop taking
No, I
applications
understand
from
from-
individuals. Is there anything you can do to expedite? I'm not sure if there is, to tell you the truth. I know Amy was working on with some of her veterans.
Sure.
Some of their applications, so unfortunately, it is a large application.
Oh, yeah,
And it
yeah.
can be a little daunting.
Oh, no, I get you guys have a lot of stuff to do. I was just meaning from the
I'm
aspect
just
of.
saying, from a client
Oh,
perspective,
yeah.
they're like, oh, what am I doing with this?
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking if there's, 10 names on that list and me and Bill see him at the gas station, we might say, hey, John, did you fill that out? And maybe he just hasn't checked his email in 2 weeks. And being local on the ground, we might be able to, help push them a little bit more.
That is up to you guys. We want to try to keep this as unbiased as possible, so I didn't know how close you wanted to be to all that.
I guess that's
Does
a
that
good
make
point.
sense?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Just
No.
don't want that to look like.
No. I was just thinking of the 21, you've got 9, so
I know for sure. Mhm.
There's 12 that maybe,
Mhm.
if you're doing the emails, I'm thinking like, even the hundreds emails, sometimes something gets in the junk folder.
Yeah.
Right,
And I was just
That's why I
thinking that was
tried
a,
2 or 3 times. Mhm.
as a follow-up, just a phone call to all 12 of them. I mean, I'd be willing to do that to the 12, call them and say, hey, your application's incomplete. I wouldn't be biased, look at the names and go, I'm only gonna call 5 of the 12. I mean, I'd want to call all 12.
Yeah, we could do in different ways, yes.
Okay.
But that is part of what we do. We send the emails, we make phone calls, send them emails.
Okay, well, yeah, I'm not asking you to like go over it 10 times.
I will keep it in mind,
Sure.
okay, if I'm not getting any further. I will
Sure,
let you
I'd be
know.
willing to help in any way.
Great, and I did want to let you know that we also sent 24, invitations to register to Meebie Weebies, which is the minority women and veterans.
Sure.
There were 24 of those, so we got those sent out. And I know I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 contractors from Vermillion County alone.
Awesome.
That have registered, so.
That's
Once
good.
we get their licenses and all of the information and background checks, we'll be moving forward. They're the individuals we'll be asking to send quotes.
Awesome.
Anything else I can do?
Keep up the good work and just let us know if you need anything.
Thank you very
Yep.
much. You guys have a nice night.
Thank you. Yep. All right. Next on the agenda, Union Hospital lease.
What are you doing? What are you doing on the Thrive?
You had a budget.
You've got a budget on this for $27,089.78.
You already submitted the commissioner's budget, didn't you?
No, this is for, yeah, but it was,
Well,
Was this on there?
I'll put it on there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so last year, commissioners, what we done with Thrive was we submitted the entire amount they requested for, that the council came back to us and said, what services do
Right.
you
They may trim it a
do you
little
want to
bit, so-
prioritize?
They may trim it a little bit,
Yeah.
we'll just have to see.
So historically, I would just suggest that we submit the entire $89,078.00, and then take this budget request, review it, look at it, and then we can talk between us and see if we want to support the entire 89 during budget hearings, or if we want to trim something up and go more towards transportation, or more towards local match.
Cause this is for 27,
Yeah,
so.
my suggestion would be that we put the full 89,000 in the budget request. And I guess I'll entertain a motion on that.
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mrs. Hess, do I have a second? Second by Mr. Peoples. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. And then we'll just go through that, and like last year, the council trimmed it a little bit, but we'll just decide as a board what we want to support, whether it be the entirety of the amount or restructure the funding, work with Ryan Keller on that. Okay, that was approved. Union Hospital lease, I'd spoken to Stephanie Laws and Wendy Farley, the administrator at the health department. Union Hospital is looking to occupy some of the space within the health department that's not currently being used, and in return it will, I'm going to paraphrase this number, it should reduce the county's lease, I believe, between $10,000 and $13,000 a year in reduction, and they're going to have some type of clinic, or Union Hospital is going to expand some services. The health board is entirely in favor of this amended lease agreement. They did ask the commissioners to pause on taking any action tonight. Union Hospital's attorneys and legal need to change some wording or relook at the plans of the building. So we'll just keep that on the agenda for the August meeting for potential discussion and approval. And then if you guys have any questions about the lease, reach out to Wendy Farley, or if you don't have Stephanie Long's number, I'll send it to you guys tonight and she can walk you through what they're planning on doing. Okay, next on the agenda, we're almost there. June 17, 2026, closing courthouse ordinance 2026-11, excuse me. Closing the courthouse, Vermillion County, Indiana, and ordinance closing the courthouse on June 17, 2026. Whereas it has come to the attention of the Board of Commissioners of Vermillion County that an emergency need existed to close the courthouse on June 17, 2026 at 12:30 due to inclement weather. Therefore, the Board of Commissioners of Vermillion County, by its inherent authority, closed the Vermillion County Courthouse to the public on January 17, 2026. Now be it ordained and enacted by the Vermillion County Commissioners that Section 1, that the courthouse was closed due to inclement weather. Section 2, should any section, paragraph, sentence, clause, or phrase of this ordinance be declared unconstitutional or invalid for any reason by any court of competent jurisdiction, such provision shall be deemed severable, and the remaining portion of this ordinance shall remain in full force and effect. Section 3, all ordinances or parts of ordinances or resolutions that are inconsistent with provisions of this ordinance are repealed to the extent of such authority. I'll entertain a motion to approve County Ordinance 2026-11.
Misread that. You said authority is such inconsistency.
I'll amend my reading of the County Ordinance 2026-11 to Bill's correction.
I was following along, like, well, I think he said that wrong.
In my defense, I've read a lot of things tonight, so next time I'll pass it off to you guys to read.
I just wanted to correct it.
No, you're good.
For the record.
All right, with Bill's correction, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Peebles with the correction as stated. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Gerald Consulting invoice approval. You have that in your packet. This was for the Okra Round 2025 grant for the Vermillion County Demolition Project, which is located in Dana. Total invoice amount is $18,000. This will be the closeout of that grant. So we need a motion to approve this bill before us tonight.
It's paid through the grant fund, correct?
Yep.
I make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Peebles. Do I have a second? Second by Ms. Hess. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the McLean proposal, last meeting or in discussion within the last year, the commissioners have agreed to take ownership of 2 lots. John is working on getting those in the commissioner's name. We put out an RFP last month. We received 2 proposals. One you have in your packet from McDaniel Home Improvement. And another one, I didn't have an official proposal, but in the email, it was from Wet Knight Construction. And I'll just kind of go over each proposal briefly. Wet Knight's proposal.
Can I ask a question real quick? And I think I asked you this earlier. Specific to this, was there a timeline that we put out saying we'll reply within 30 days? Or
yeah, so that's what the RFP.
We met that 30-day time.
Yep. So today was the end of that RFP. Penny Carpenter was a big help with that due to her position. She helped send it out to 10-15 local contractors, and we had 2 responses back in. The Wet Knight Construction was they asked for both lots for free. They would start construction 1 year once the lots were conveyed to them, but the one caveat for them was that they would ask for 4 to 6 months of advertising, and if they couldn't develop a lead, then their contract would be null and void. So they were wanting 4 to 6 months before they started construction, I believe, to most likely find somebody that wanted to build a house. And in McDaniel's proposal, he was asking for both lots, lot 1 and 2, for $100 per lot, and they would pay an additional $2,500 per lot upon the sale of each. They're proposing constructing a 1,500 square foot home, 1-car garage. And, you know, in our RFP, we'd ask for everything to be completed within 1 year. So we can take those under advisement and look at them next meeting, or if you guys feel comfortable in pursuing one of these proposals tonight, we can act on one of them tonight as well. So I'll leave that up to the board. I will say the McDaniel's home improvement, I think, is a very detailed proposal. You know, I think at $100 per lot, they're still giving back, you know, $2,500 once it sells. And we do need housing, and I think it's a perfect opportunity to help grow the county with some.
Do you have pictures for the?
Yeah, I showed you the picture. Yeah, that was his idea for that. So I do think and McDaniel's is also the same one that done the county ambulance renovation up there.
Due to the fact that they have a proposed, this is what the house will look like when we're done.
Yep.
Let's wait 4 months and see if somebody nibbles. Let's get something going.
Let's get going on
it. That's my proposal.
You want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to go with McDaniel.
All right, I have a motion by Mr. Peebles to accept the McDaniel home improvement proposal for lot 1 and 2 in the McLean subdivision for $100 per lot, with a guarantee to pay an additional $2,500 to the county on each sale of completed property. And I have a second by Ms. Hess. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. And then I'll work with John on getting those lots in our name, and then we'll work with the McDaniels, and we'll keep you guys updated on that. Last 2 things on the agenda I told you guys about before. We had the kayak agreement last year in the fall and winter. Nancy Moore and Tammy Bishop that own property adjacent to the Osanaman kayak launch. To preface what public still is here, the county's owned this property for years, and the public used to access this lot down to the river, but they drove on the person's property and damaged this road for 30 plus years. They've been a good neighbor during this Osanaman launch, very, very good to work with. So with that, the commissioners have discussed fixing this section of road on their property that the county over 30 years had allowed the public to utilize. John, you think this agreement should be read out?
Yeah, it's probably best. I know it's so long, but it's probably best.
Okay, all right. Okay, I'll read it. You've already seen it, I'll go and read it.
I've read it.
All right. Nancy Moore and Tammy Bishop agreement. This is an agreement between Nancy Moore, Tammy Bishop, and the Board of Commissioners of Vermilion County, Indiana. Nancy Moore and Tammy Bishop are landowners that own property at 1580 West, 775 North, Key, Indiana. The Board of Commissioners understand that during the last 30 years, their road was used by public to access the Board of Commissioners' owned property. During this time, the road has failed and had significant damage that needs to be repaired. Therefore, the Board of Commissioners proposes, and Nancy Moore and Tammy Bishop agree to the following. 1, the Board of Commissioners will authorize the County Highway Department to pave the section of damaged road. 2, the section of road has been determined to be 14 feet wide and 63 feet in length. 3, the County Highway Department will fix and repair only the above section of road listed. 4, this is a one-time authorization from the Board of Commissioners, and it shall be completed no later than August 1st, 2026. I'll wait for Misty, and we'll get enough approval for this so we can proceed with that.
Is that legal?
Yes.
For us to go on somebody else's property?
That's their agreement that we do it.
Like I said, they have been, like I said, good neighbors, and they'd actually, I guess back in the 90s or late 80s, the old county bridge used to go right in front of their property. And then when the county constructed the new Ann Rice Bridge, they let it go. And then the community pretty much made their own path down to the river, and they just pretty much used their
From the old existing right
from
of
the old
way,
existing.
off in there.
Yep. Yep. So the right of way was taken away, but people still used it, and the landowners didn't really tell people no to not use the river. They were like, the county will fix the road, and then 30 years have come and gone, and they've asked for it to be repaired, and now we have something in writing, so. We're waiting for you, Misty.
That's good.
So, for the record, I'll entertain a motion to approve the Nancy Moore and Tammy Bishop agreement as stated here tonight.
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion by Mr. Peebles. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hess. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye, motion carries. I'll get that, signed, and John, would it be best to have that recorded as well, so there's a record?
Yeah.
Okay, and then the,
Recorded against the title in the recorder's office.
okay,
It's 2 things.
okay, awesome. And then the last thing was, Donald Anglin on 800 South, next to Hog Farm Road down there. They'd requested through the Highway Department, for an ordinance, reducing the speed of that section of road from State Road 63 to County Road 275 East, to 30 miles an hour. I had spoken to Brian Russell with the Highway Department since he maintains that section of area, and he said he had no objections to the reduction of speed. A lot of farm traffic goes through there, and they're wanting tickets written. We can't write a ticket without speed limit signs, and any unmarked county road is 45 miles an hour. So I'd like for you guys to think about that and see if you have any objections to proceeding on a 30 mile an hour speed limit ordinance, which would be presented at the August meeting.
For how long, just that one road specifically?
Yeah, so about a year ago or 2 years, is prior to you guys, Chad Hennis had came in for the town of Cayuga, kind of by Valley Professionals. There was a section of road they had speeding problems with, and Chad came in, some landowners did, and the commissioners basically picked a county road here and a county road here and said, we're going to reduce the speed, which then gave the officers the opportunity to write tickets for that section. So I spoke to the Anglins, and they'd spoken to every landowner. They're all in favor of it, and the reason they want to stop at 275 East is because it goes gravel road after that, and most of the traffic is from Swinford Farm, some of the farm traffic. So
it's specifically outlined in there from point A to point B on there.
Yeah, there's a map. I mean, I can send you a map, but yeah, it's from 63. It would be on County Road 800 South from 63 to County Road 275, just that section. So if we approve the ordinance, the Highway Department would install the signs, and then the landowners can then call the Sheriff's Department and request more patrols out there to write tickets. So if you guys don't have any objections, let John work on an ordinance, and then have that in the August meeting. Other than that, anything else from the Board of Commissioners before we adjourn? Motion by Mr. People to adjourn. Second. All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned. Thank you guys for attending. Well, John, you must have missed dinner tonight, would be my assumption.
Guaranteed.
Ethan, how are you doing?